All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller and drama, and arts. For 5 years and with over 280 weekly episodes and 64 million plus downloads, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals. It is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist no matter their age, race, ethnicity, or gender. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. We are all busy, but I'd be so grateful if you could take a moment and vote now. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all 3 of the categories: education, storyteller drama, or art. News on the flip side. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program, which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as anchor host Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the News on the Flip Side in the category of news and politics. That's podcastawards.com. Please take a moment and vote now.
I had had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die, yo?" Reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
News on the flip side. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program, which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as anchor host Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the News on the Flip Side in the category of News and Politics. That's podcastawards.com. Please take a moment and vote now.
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network. Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Oh, well, welcome everyone to UFO Undercover. I hope everyone's having a great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. And yes, Jesse, I've been saying that line for 24 years. Yes. You know, it's funny. When I started saying that line, no one said it. 2/3 of the podcasts on the planet now use that tag. Oh, I'm not kidding you. Go listen for yourself. It is too funny to me sometimes when I hear hosts on other networks saying it. I mean, on my network, I don't really, it's my network, but I mean, on other networks, I'm like, really? Yeah, really? And where did you hear that from? And these are people who have been guests in the past on our network. A lot of our old guests, people who guested on this show many, 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 many times ago, many times on the network and long ago, I hear they use not just the taglines and open, but they use a lot of our material. You'll hear them quoting stuff that I've said a million times as it's their own. It's infuriating sometimes. But, over the years, I've learned to just, roll with the punches. And then, of course, I'll debunk people who I think are completely garbage. It doesn't really bother me as much that they use our information, because in the beginning, it really was about just getting the information assimilated out to the public. It's really what the whole network was about originally. Now the network's about a lot of other things, but it still is about getting information out to the public that you can't get anywhere else. Ooh, excuse me, y'all.
You're right. I mean, most of the information, at least for my research purposes, either came from a book or documentary, or from the very few people I cannot name who told me things they shouldn't have told me. And that's it. There's no other places to find this stuff.
Yeah, it's when we first built iCar, we designed it to be one-stop shop. For everything. We made it so that you didn't have to go look things. And we do a lot of fact checking. And as we bring the iCar back into being again, well, it hasn't really gone anywhere, Bruce. It's just I retired. How can I say this politely?
Been on hiatus.
I force retired a lot of directors. Altogether, well, at one time we had 177 directors. I think we got down to like 14 now. And mostly because what happens is you burn out on the subject. And then you just kind of sitting there scratching your ass, and because you burnt out on the subject, it doesn't do us or them any good. So about 3 years ago, actually, I just started going through and a lot of these people are friends of mine, so I had to do this delicately, but I just basically said, okay, y'all aren't directors anymore. Still going to be members of the organization, but you're not directors anymore, because directors have to produce. Either they're dealing with investigators of their own, because their job is to bring in investigators and assistant directors and help people in their areas. Our job is just to oversight, basically. I mean, I still do. I still deal with a lot of contactees. I mean, I talk to a lot of them on a regular basis. But what's that, Jennifer? Dee Andrew, who's passed away, a good close dear friend of mine. Passed a few years back. She was the national director. I'm actually international director. Right now, I'm serving as both jobs, and we will find a national director. Actually, we'll start bringing in state directors and overseas directors. Probably I'll start looking to start naming some in the next few weeks, and then when we get about 30 or 40 or 50 of them back in the organization, we'll name one of them as national director. Who? Michelle doesn't live in the U.S. She'd be national director in Canada, though. Actually, Michelle will probably come on board. Michelle's really interested in the subject matter, and she's asked me in the past about it. But she's like me. She has a really, really busy schedule. And since she's taken over the top job on the network, I hate to load her down with any more work than she already has. Well, she's got family and stuff too. I mean, she's got kids, grandkids, and great grandkids, and great grandkids.
She's got her own shows to do.
Yeah, don't tell her I said great grandkids. Okay. She's still got to practice being Elvira of Canada and stuff. She hosts. She does a lot of stuff with different groups around the country and around her country, setting up conferences and things like that. And she hosts the Outer Realm, Kirk. Mm-hmm. Follows this show actually, yeah, on Wednesdays, and then she's on Thursdays too. She hosts 2 shows on the network, and but she hosts the Outer Realm, which will be following us in a couple of hours. And she's a damn good host. She's a damn good manager, and she does a lot of work. And she's a workaholic, is what she is. Well, she's like me. She can't sit still. When you sit still, you get in trouble, or you get aggravated, or depressed, or whatever. So it's better just to stay busy. What do you mean? We'll get it done in a few minutes, Raymond. Not quite yet, but we will in a few minutes. So, well, so I was booked solid for like 3 years, and then COVID came, and then poof, and then we were lined up with Netflix to do a it's a abduction show. It's a reenactment show. Is basically what it is. And then COVID came, and then I was in LA just recently. Well, not this past time I was in LA, but the time before I was in LA, I had met with Netflix, and we had done. We did the first one, and then we've altogether we've done 4 now. Only as far as I know, only the first one's aired. The other ones are set to air sometime this summer. And basically, I'm the narrator, is what I am. So they post an alien abduction reenactment, and I narrate it. So well, no, they don't use the people; they use actors. Well, because you want it to look professional.
Well, because actors are trained, they know how to aim their face at the camera correctly, where to stop so that they're in focus in front of the camera. And your average civilian citizen is going to mess it up. It would take twice as long to get the footage than it would if you use professional actors.
Plus, they're gonna pause. So when you're talking, when you're talking to a camera, you can't pause for 2 and 3 seconds. I know to y'all it doesn't sound like, but that's felt like you ever did it. That wasn't even a second. So if I go 1001, 1002, 1000, I mean, it's going to feel like forever when I'm talking to y'all. 5 seconds pause is going to be like, it feels like 20 minutes on air. But it's more than that.
Dead space. It's not something you want.
But you have bad habits.
You have, between shots, you have different scenes, so you have to rearrange the lights and put the cameras in different places. And your average human citizens just don't know how to do that. And I mean, it's not hard. You can look this stuff up on the internet, but it still takes practice. I mean, I went to school for this stuff, and one of the hardest things is getting the lights right. Yeah. Because once you get them right, then you have all the actors come in, and you're like, oh, there's a shadow. Let's move the lights around. All right, get the actors back in. Oh, that shadow's gone, but there's another shadow. So it's a very, very long, involved process, and very time.
Yeah, and Raymond, a lot of people pause and use words and repeat words over and over. And say, you can't do any of that. No, you can't do that. So these people tell them what happened. The company scripts it out, and then they make it. So what they do to me, they send me a script. I read the script, and then I move stuff around on the script according to what I think. And I also tell them there will be times when I'm watching the video that I'm going to ad lib. So in the first, and what do you call it? The pilot. In the pilot, several times I ad lib, which made it much better because, they're not researchers, so they're listening to these people's, listening to the people's experience and making it, but they don't really know what questions to ask or how they should be phrased or where it should be in a particular thing. So like the first time I heard the pilot, I went back and made them change some stuff and move some stuff, flip it around because it was in the wrong place. So they were asking about this person's abduction and how it happened, when it happened. Well, they had the end at the beginning in the middle. It was disjointed. It was like, I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing here? And it's one of the things they like about me is the guy's like, well, it's the way. Oh, hey Lee, I didn't even see you down there, baby. Let me drag you in. Hey Lee, what you doing? Lee go pee pee. Uh, but
Hey, Lee.
so I was talking with Kirby West a while back about this, and we get, I mean, literally hundreds of people write to us about having alien dreams. Generally, now this is not true for everybody, but for a lot of people, a lot of abductees, contact starts in your dreams. And what I mean by that is the first time you remember something in a contact is in a dream. You'll dream about, we dream about all kind of stuff in our life. I mean, literally, there's all kind of stuff in our life that we dream about.
We have up to 3 or 4 dreams per night, and I believe the first 3 are usually about events that happened to us that day, or sometimes even earlier in the week, a few days ago. And then the 4th one is usually the weirdest one, and usually the one we remember, the last one.
Yeah. Last one's usually the one. Well, Robbie, it is kind of true that you can't dream about something you haven't seen before. But now remember when I say this, so you can't dream about faces you've never seen. That's why alien abductions thing is important when it's in dreams, because if you're seeing these things, you've seen them somewhere else, and it doesn't mean you've seen them on television. It means you've seen them somewhere else. Okay, so
I have a good example of that. Years and years ago, a movie came out called Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, and it alluded to the fact that Darth Vader reveals he's the father of Luke Skywalker, but they didn't reveal his name, the actual name of the guy under the Darth Vader mask. Darth Vader's a pseudonym.
Yeah.
Well, I had some dreams for several years, and many years before the prequels ever came out. And we're talking, when did Empire come out? 87, 88?
I was earlier than that. When was he?
No, I think it's 87.
Was it?
Hey, Google, when did Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back come
was
out?
that late? I thought it was earlier than that.
In the United States of America, The Empire Strikes Back came out on May 21st, 1980.
Oh, 1980. Okay.
Yeah, because I thought the first one came out in like 75 or 76.
The first one was 77. Maybe it was the last one was 87. Anyway,
it's close enough.
So I dreamt about, and in the same year or the year after, the same time frame, one of the Star Trek movies came out, and I think it's the one where Spock dies. So I started having dreams about Spock and Darth Vader. Don't ask me why, but I did. And I had this dream about an episode of Star Trek where Spock marries some strange alien lady, and they have a child, and they name the child Anakin Spock. Well, 13, 20, however many years later, the Star Wars prequel comes out, and here it is, Anakin Skywalker. I'm like, holy I dreamt that 20-some years ago.
It
happens. It really does
all
happen.
I know is I can't keep having these dreams. I can't.
Because you got to, if okay, it's like anything when it comes to dreams or anything in life. If you don't talk about them and you don't investigate them, they don't go. They stay there.
Well, I've tried.
They stay part of who you are. So for contactees,
program your brain to make dreams a certain way.
And remember, people, if you're an abductee or a contactee, if you're not working with a group, you're hurting yourself.
There is nothing for me.
Well, no, there's lots of groups out there. There's groups right here with us, but you have to be part of it. And you have to be a daily part of it. And you have to be talking about it daily because it's in your head and it has to be worked out of your head. And you have to. It's more than that, because a dream. So let's say you have a dream about any particular alien, and you just dream about the alien. Well, in that dream, there's all kind of little bits and pieces of stuff here and there and there and here, and all that tells you something. And those things all have to be investigated and pushed through and seen what is garbage and what is real, because not everything in a dream is real. Well, no, Kirby. So it is true that you can't dream about a face you've never seen, but your brain can combine 3 faces to make one face.
It's also in my life, and it's getting to the point where it's all blending together. All of it. It's all just. I don't know how to explain it. It's
because you have to separate it. So
I think it's like deja vu. Like I must have lived this life before or something like that. But here I am, and it's too real and it's too painful, and there's no way to fix it. There's no way to fix it.
There's always a way to fix it.
No, there isn't.
There is, but you got to be willing to do it.
There isn't any avenues left. There's no more options.
Well, there's always options, but even there's options in ways that people don't even think of options sometimes. So, like I was just talking about, so when you're dealing with people on the internet, so matter of fact, I was just talking to Kirky about this yesterday about bringing the UFO alien phenomena group back. Well, now we used to have a group on Pal Talk that basically that's all they did. There was a support group, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and each person went and hosted. Different people would host. People from our network would host. People from the room would host, or admin, I should say. Host is a bad word. And by doing so, they were talking with people who were having daily experiences, and you get to vent the experience, and you get to vent the experience
Okay.
until such a point that it doesn't bother you anymore. It's
Well,
like
for me,
anything
I've
else.
been trying
Okay.
to have like a normal life, and it's not like there's nothing normal about me, and I can't seem to figure out how to make anything work or keep a job and I've alienated myself. I've isolated myself to the point where I don't have I I don't even I can't even listen to a news casting in any area. It doesn't matter what state it's in. And I just can't seem to function anymore. And it's to the point now where I'm
Because it's consumed your life. Which so let me explain this to you, Leah. This isn't uncommon. Okay, contactees' lives get wrecked all
I
the time.
can't do it anymore. I'm gonna
Well,
end up.
because you
gonna end
have
up.
to get with one of the groups, and you have to be able to talk to somebody about this daily. It has to become. It's like when they teach you stuff when you go see a counselor or a psychiatrist or anything. They make you repeat things because eventually it numbs it. It,
Well,
it,
see,
it
that's what it
becomes
is.
unimportant.
That's what's happened. I'm realizing certain things where I know that I've lived this life before, and it's all like a test. And I don't know how to explain it. There's no words. There's no human words for me to be able to explain it. But I know basically at the end of the day, it's all my fault. All of it. It's all been my fault.
Well, that some of it's your fault. So let me say this to you. So let's say somewhere along the line, some guy beats the living shit out of you. Okay, and then you have scars and repercussions for that for years. That's not your fault. That's somebody else caused that, and you're trying to live through that.
No, it's my fault for not being able to find the right avenues to heal properly. It's my fault for not actually.
With it, you have to know about the avenues first.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff we're talking about here is not stuff that's readily available outside of particular groups. It's just not available there.
Again,
It's all
Let's be
little
honest.
things that I decided at the end. At the end of everything, I look back and I realize it's all because of me. It's all the decisions
Of course
I've
it is.
made.
That's nothing, no, boo. Let me explain this to you. Contactees F up their lives until they come to terms with this, until they come to grips with this. They will screw up their lives on a daily basis. This is
And
not even uncommon. I mean, this is actually a serious thing, especially abductees, and which you would fall into the category of abductee, not a contactee, because you don't understand your context, so you can't be a contactee. You're an abductee just like anybody else, and they screw up their lives. They don't understand their empathic abilities. They don't understand their telepathic abilities. They don't understand what actually has happened to them. They don't realize a lot of times what's in their head isn't theirs; it's somebody else's. Somebody they're standing next to. You might be living an entirely life that has nothing to do with you.
I can't handle it anymore. Like it's to the point now where I can't function. I can't.
Well, first off, you've got to learn how to turn things off.
Well, it's a little too late, is what I'm
It's
trying
never
to say.
too late. Most of the contactees we get are older than you, so you know
and they
that.
probably aren't as.
No, a lot of them are lone and
They might be
single.
older.
Some of them are on the verge
They might
of
be older.
suicide.
They might be older, but they're not as close to the end of their life.
Bullshit. Oh no, girl, you're not. I'm telling you, you don't have no idea. You have no idea what the people I have dealt with in the last 35 years. It's not a clue. I have met people. Matter of fact, one lady calls me. This is a true story. I've only ever talked about this twice on there. So we're sitting at home having dinner one night. I get a phone call from somebody. It's an abductee, somebody I had talked to once or twice. And actually, I hadn't really talked to him. Somebody else in the group had talked to him. And I ran into him in one of the chat groups. And I was talking to him. I said, well, my personal phone number's up there in the top of the chat if you ever have a problem. And they had come to a point where they just couldn't take it anymore. They were done. It was over with. And I got the phone call. They were standing on the edge of the bridge, just about to go when I pulled up. Okay, I mean that's where they were.
Well,
And then after we taught them how to use those abilities to their advantage, how to first off block out empathic and telepathic waves, how to use those abilities to their advantage, and start to realize that they're not alone, that there are literally tens of thousands of people going through this. It changed it. And you say no, but I'm telling you, yeah. I mean, literally, what you're telling me, there are tens of thousands of people going through this.
There's plenty of ways you can try to get around it, Leah. One way is, now I've been looking at this since I was 11 years old. I'm 57. That's a long time.
God, you're old, man. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. But but throughout that whole time, I've been scared most of the time, especially the 70s. I mean, some of the stories coming out about just the grays alone was like enough to scare you out of your skin.
Well,
and
I'm not.
Like I said, throughout all those years, the Greys have been good. They've been bad, good, bad. Same with the reptilians and the insectoids. All the different alien races that allegedly interact with our planet currently. There's always been flip-flopping between good and evil. So if you change your perspective, my best answer for perspective on good and evil is I asked this one. He's passed away now. This one wizard. No, wait. Listen, you'll get to the point. I'll get to the point on this. It takes a while, but you'll see. So I asked the guy if there's such a thing as good spells versus evil spells, and he said there is no such thing. It's your perspective. And the best way he described it was he described two farmers. One farmer's crop is doing well and doesn't need too much more water. The other farmer's crop is doing poorly and is about to die and needs a lot of water. So if a big storm comes by, drowns the other farmer's crop and kills it, and brings the dying farmer's crop to life. Well, Listen. Let me get to the point. The one farmer, he sees that storm as being evil. The other farmer, whose crops were saved, sees that storm as being good. But the storm is neither good nor evil. It's just there. So if you change your perspective of how these experiences have affected you, instead of being scared, make yourself angry. I'm angry because I want to know why are they here.
In me, I don't have any strength left in me. I've been.
There's a lot of anger in our brains, plenty of it. You just got to tap into it.
Angry anymore? I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be sad.
You don't have to be angry. You don't have to be anything. You just have to realize that there's something going on and confront it. You can't see. It's like anything in life. You can't let things stomp you in the head because eventually it's going to stomp you into the grave.
It's all done. It's all done.
No, it's not, Boo. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not. No, it's not for anybody, Boo. You don't get that's why I wanted you. I told you this a couple of weeks back. That's why I wanted you to start talking to people who have had these experiences far worse than what you're talking about. I mean, far worse than what, and not just this physical abuse and a lot of other things that went along with it. There were a lot of things that you haven't even experienced that they have. It's when you get into this, and once you realize that this is part of your life and it's going through your life, then you can confront it, but you won't even confront it. That's one of the other problems. No, you won't. You
other than sit on this phone that I don't even have a computer to research anything.
Well, okay. Well, first
off, you know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Confronting it doesn't mean getting on the phone or getting on the computer.
I don't even have any friends. I don't have any family. I have no one to talk to.
You got us to talk to, and there's lots more of us out there. Yeah. They're literally, when I say us, I mean there's ICAR itself has 112,000 members, most of which have been either through what you're going through or far worse than what you're going through.
Nobody has been through what I've been through.
Oh, baby, trust me.
Their own experiences from their own perspective in life.
Not really that way. Life comes in groups of experiences. I try to explain this to people.
Leah, there are women who have been documented. There are women who have been documented that were pregnant, were expecting to have a baby in 9 months, and then the baby disappears, and the doctors confirm the baby is gone. They don't know how the baby disappeared.
Okay, I know. I know about all those.
That's a pretty horrible thing to have happen to you. So, I mean, I think talking to these people is, like Joe says, that it only helps. I can assure you, talking about it, it makes it less painful every time you talk about it.
Well,
and then
it's not just like alien stuff. It's like my life on repeat over and over. And
yes, but you can't even attack that if you don't get rid of the other one first. So let's. This is I'm gonna use this as these kind of things happen to people all the time. So a good friend of mine, she's a good friend of mine now, but in the old days she wasn't. So this woman couldn't get her life straight for nothing. She was crying almost every day. She was having these horrible dreams. She was just going through one disaster after another disaster, and then all of a sudden, every time she touched some electronics, it blew up. She couldn't even have a computer. She couldn't even have a cell phone. Every time she touched a cell phone, it died. It came to a point where she just had enough. So one day she calls me up and we're sitting down and talking. I said, well, look, let's start with teaching you how to block out other interference. So when you're having dreams at night, see, for you, you don't even know if they're actually your dreams. That's the really shitty part. You may be in the dream, but it doesn't mean it's yours. You could be dreaming anybody within 500 miles of where you live. Or actually anywhere
it's
in the
all
world for that
just
matter.
gonna make me go more and more and more.
No, it's not. You have to learn how to cut it off. And there's things you can practice every night to stop it. You can actually things you can practice that can stop your dreams completely if you want to.
You can
I'm
program
gonna
your
wake
dreams.
up and realize what then reality sets in. I'm gonna wake up and realize that I'm alone in the world. I don't really have anyone. Right?
Of course, you're alone in the world. Let me
just
tell you
alone.
something, Leah. So you understand this: everyone is born and dies alone in the world. That's not unique to anyone. To anyone, that is life.
No.
We come in the world by ourselves and we leave the world by ourselves. It doesn't matter if we're in a bus of 50 that die. We're still dying by ourselves.
It was
Every day
supposed to be
when
different.
you're dealing with your thoughts in your head, it doesn't matter if you're married, single, or not. That's your thoughts. No one else can hear them but you. You're dealing with that. You're alone with those thoughts. That's common to all 8 billion of us. This is the hardest thing for people to understand who are having experiences like this. They always want to say they're alone and they always want to say it's unique, but that's not true. There's nothing. There is no such thing as anything unique left on this planet with 8 billion people. Every freaking scenario that can happen, except for alien complete invasion, has happened.
Yeah.
So it's no people are alone. I mean, people do this because they want to fall into a well of pity, and that's what they want to fall into a well of. But once you're in there, you have to dig yourself out.
There is no.
But you don't have to. You don't have to.
Like I already know. Like I don't know how to explain it because it's been happening over and over, and it's been something that I've been aware of for a long time.
And why haven't you stopped it? And then why haven't you stopped it? If it's been happening over and over, why haven't you even tried to stop it?
I have. I've tried.
What kind of What kind of meditation have you done? I don't believe you, so I'm gonna call you out on this. What kind of meditation have you done?
I've tried.
What kind of things have you done to stop any intrusion into your head?
Telling myself what type of dreams I'm gonna have, like trying
that helps.
to go to sleep knowing, like telling myself this is, basically trying to program my dreams before I fall asleep. And some people call it praying, some people call it meditating. I try and find center or find source or whatever you want to call it and connect to it. That way I can try to receive some type of guidance or prompts that allow me to understand what choices to make. Some people call it God. But it seems the deja vu that I get ends up reminding me that it's the same every single time. Okay. And I went through something a long time ago where I was told this is something that I've been through many, many times.
Yeah. And you don't even, first off, you let something get into your head that one, you don't know if it's true. You can't prove that it's true.
Well, even if it's not true, and this is the one and only time
to get into your head that you're letting fester. And that's what I was just telling you about. You can't let shit fester in your head. That's something you need to block out of your head completely.
I can't. It's the memory that it's not like I can just forget about it. Okay.
No, you don't have to forget about it. You have to flip it. So you have to flip it from, oh yeah, this is word of gospel to this is bullshit.
Because right. And even if it was bullshit, I've tried living my life as though, okay, well, this is the only chance, the only life I got, right? This is the only, I have to make the right decisions, right? And I try new things to keep putting one foot in front of the other. take, for instance, the CDL thing. You know, out of the blue, I was just like, let's go get a CDL. Let's train to learn how to drive a truck.
Crazy
Well,
woman.
doesn't matter. I put myself in this situation and I'm walking up the steps to the classroom and I'm getting this feeling like I've been here before. I've had a dream of this place before. And I just continue along with it because it's still a new experience. Like the people that I meet, I've never met before. The conversations I have, I've never had before. Like the information I'm learning from the course, I've never learned before. So it's still new. And I'm moving forward in my life, right? And I'm still failing at it all. And so what I'm realizing is it doesn't matter if I've lived this life before. This is truly the only one that I'm in.
Let
And
me ask you a question. I got a
I'm
random
still
question for
failing
you.
at it.
So, do you think Elon Musk has failed at his life?
I don't know much about Elon Musk. I
So
really don't.
I do. So Elon was nobody until he was almost 45, 47. His
48.
brother was
But-
nobody. His brother was nobody till he was 51 and made his first $500 million. You don't understand. Things, first off, don't happen overnight. And life is different now, especially for the millennials and the Z Geners and the X Geners. It's different in the fact that you get to take longer to grow up. My generation didn't have that option.
No.
I moved out when I was 17 and joined the military. So I didn't have that option. And a lot of people didn't have that option. But today, it's different. It's a different world. Most men and women don't grow up till they're about 44, 45 years old. And that's when they start growing up.
Well, I don't
There
have
are
the
a
energy.
handful. There
All
are
my-
a handful of people that do it before then, but most of
I
them
had
don't. Most of
too
them
much
get
energy
depressed.
exerted. I've exerted myself. This is what I'm learning. I've exerted myself too much. Like
Then
I've
start drinking Red
exhausted
Bull.
myself.
Then start drinking Red Bull. There are lots of things out there that will help with exhaustion. There's no such thing as exhausting yourself. There's all kind of
Myself.
booze, alcohol, cigarettes. There's all kind of shit that will change that.
No,
So
why would I
if you
want to
give up, you
consume
give up.
something?
I'm just saying, if you give up, you give up. Because the reason for you is one of the reasons you're having the problem with the dreams as you was because you smoked pot for a long time and then you quit.
Yep.
Well, your brain is used to being shut off by smoking marijuana. Well, you're not giving it that option anymore. So you have to figure out a different way of doing it. And that doesn't just happen overnight. That takes time. Sometimes it'll take a couple of years. It's not something that when I quit cigarettes, it took me 2 years to get my brain to stop having these. They weren't horrible dreams. They were just weird dreams. Just randomly, just ignorant shit. I don't even know how to explain it.
So something about building an identity, okay, or maintaining an identity has something to do with this physical world, right? People have their identities.
Yeah.
And what I'm personally going through is the shedding of that, where it's like I've lost everything. I've lost jobs, I've lost my son, I've lost my home, and I've had to start brand new with absolutely nothing. And I'm realizing, some people have to go to work and put a name tag on, and some people don't. Some people, there's so many different walks of life, but there's still always a hierarchy to it. There's always a boss, and that boss has a boss, and then that boss has a boss. And somewhere up at the top is some CEO or whatever that you never even get to see or talk to. And it all just reminds me of, like, if God was somebody that was running this planet and all these people, he keeps himself so distant, just the way a CEO of a company would. You would never go directly to a CEO, right? You'd have to go through all these other avenues, which is what like a job is. You have to go through these avenues.
You have to go through the chain of command, yeah.
Right. And without that connection in life, without that human social engagement where you have coworkers and you have like a supervisor and you have this modernized setup of how society is ran. I don't know, you wouldn't have the ability to understand how the whole system works as a whole, like, because it's like one system within a system, You know what I mean? Kind of like the Russian dolls, the Obi-Wan.
But see, so the analogy you use, so God would be different anyway. God's not interested in Earth. There are 100 trillion planets out there. We're the
Right.
least of his problems. So we are technically the least of his problems. We are our own shepherds. I think that's what most humans don't understand. We are our own shepherds. We shepherd ourselves. We can be shepherded by other people if we
So
want to follow.
if that's the case, and that's what I'm starting to get at, is like I have directed my life down a path that is irreparable now, and I'm too old for one thing, and two, I'm not.
So what are you too old for? I want to know what you're too old for.
Okay, so here's.
I mean, really, I need to know this because as far as I can tell, you're not too old for anything.
Yeah, when you go in, when you have no solid job experience and you've worked at so many different places that you can't put them all down on a resume, right?
You don't do that anyway. You never put more than 3 jobs down on a resume ever.
Right,
ever.
But if they're gonna check my resume,
they can't check. That's not something they can check. It's not.
They're
not allowed into your Social Security. The only way they can find out where you work is through Social Security, and they can't tell them. It's illegal. So the only thing, whatever jobs you put down is what they can go check those 3 jobs.
That's not true because I've been applying to these trucking jobs, right? And one of the trucking companies got back to me and was like, well, did you used to work at the Black Cup? Did you work at, Chefini's? Or, they brought up jobs that I never listed on any job application or resume. And they were pulling up everything, everywhere where I worked.
Well, so then you need to go get a lawyer.
And so
that's illegal, boo. That's not how it works. Trust me, I'm a boss of 2 different companies, and that ain't how it works. Right now, I could go into the database and look up Jay, and it's not going to give me the most you can find on anybody is the last 3 jobs. Anything further than that backdate. Matter of fact, most places don't even keep anything more than 5 years.
Yep.
Well, basically, I'm currently still employed, right? I can go to work tomorrow. Technically, and continue along with this meaningless job that I'm never going to be able to have gainful employment. I'm never going to earn enough money to actually survive. It's going to keep me in the hole because unless I move back to where I want to be, I'm stuck in this situation where I can't afford even to like buy underwear, And so I'm in this weird situation where I have to find a really good paying job, and nobody's just going to hire someone off the streets for a really good paying job, especially around here where starting wages are at like $10 an hour, $12 an hour, $14 an hour. It's not enough. It's not a living wage. And the people that set those wages don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about it because they're making enough money for themselves and 3 other people. But
they will in a couple of months.
For example, I'm scrambling trying to figure out where can I work? Where can I just anywhere that's going to allow me to survive. And I go to McDonald's down the street, and I'm being interviewed by somebody half my age. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't answer any of the questions. She didn't know even the name of the position that I was applying for. It was called guest service or guest experience.
So what are you, 38, right?
Yeah.
So I worked for McDonald's, right? When my son was younger.
And
you know how much money I made a year?
Me.
They didn't want to hire me either, but I ended up getting hired anyway. You know how much money I ended up making for McDonald's?
That would be great. That's why I went there.
$275,000 a year. Now, that's not what I started at. You know what I started at? And I was used to making big money when I lived in New Orleans, but up here on the coast,
$7 an hour.
Yeah, that's where they started me. $9 an hour is what they started at me. And within a year, I was making $275,000 because they're just like any other company. They need good people, and if you get into a company and you're busting your ass and you're doing the job and you're doing it better than everybody else, they promote because they need them. Because companies like these flip a lot of people.
I'm just
so they're looking for the ones who want to stay.
Anywhere.
Good enough for what?
It's
an easy job. You don't have to be good. You just have to pay attention. It's not so much about being good. It's about learning.
Okay, so I just failed this trucking thing.
Trucking's not easy, boo.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was going to send you this video, but it wouldn't let me send it. They were showing me this blonde girl today who just finally got her trucker's license and is driving. She was talking about how hard it was and how many times she had to go back and take the course. She said at first she failed because she couldn't unhook the airlines. She just couldn't get them unhooked. She wasn't strong enough. And then she figured out a way to do that. And then she failed because she couldn't figure out how to back a damn truck up right. This woman failed like 7 times. Now
So
that's why I was going to
just-
post you the video, because now she's making $2,800 a week driving around. And
Right. Good for her. I'm never going to be able to find that. I know it. It's
that's what she said. She's saying exactly what you're saying, but yet she did it. It's
I
not.
already was
You
hired
only
by this
fail if you
company.
want to fail. I mean,
No,
that's life.
I mean, it's not like I wanted to fail. I didn't want to fail. That's not true.
Yeah, it
They
is.
set
It's
me
in
up
your
for
head. You tell
failure.
me on a daily basis that you don't think you can do something. That's wanting to fail. I never think I can't do something. I think I can do everything, whether I can or not. I still think I can do it, and I will try to do it.
so
Sometimes
let
I
me
get really
explain
good
the
and get
scenario.
lucky and fix it, and sometimes I don't.
They had me alone. I was the only one that was put in a truck by myself. Okay, everyone else had a partner, and I didn't know that they had switched tasks from one thing to another, right? And so this whole time, everyone else is learning to do this specific type of maneuver. I was still doing the first one that I was told to do, and none of the instructors ever came up to tell me to change tasks. Okay, so apparently it's my fault, because I should have looked over and seen that everyone else was doing something else, but I didn't know that's what they were doing. I had no idea. I thought they were still on the same task I was. And so they said I was falling too far behind, and then today, I should have read the paper better, or whatever the case is. I messed up. I didn't do it thoroughly enough.
Yeah, rookies fuck up all the time. That's life. I've seen grown ass, big ass men screw up driving a truck, so don't feel bad. And I've seen many men fail.
Leah, I got a good story for you, Leah. I was working at this place called the Great Indoors. It's now closed. It's like a high-end home improvement store for Sears. But anyway, this truck driver, he was trying to back into our parking lot. And our parking lot was kind of messed up. He had to like back in it like a Z shape. But after about a half an hour, he came back up to the dock and he's like, I can't get in here. Can you back this up for me? I was like, well, I do have the skill to do it, but I don't have a CDL license, so I can't. So you're going to have to do it. He's like, but I can't do it. And I was like, dude, look, they don't pay just to go forward. I got to do stuff. Back your truck up so I can unload it or go away. I'm not standing here for another half an hour. And you know what happened? That swift kick in his ass, he went back there, and one try after he went back to his car, he got it plugged
But see,
up.
some people
You just got to get back up and do it again.
They gave me a chance, right? They're like, look, we'll give you another chance to go get it right. And so I go out there and I do the same thing I messed up on the first time. And instead of being like, all right, you messed up, that was your chance, he continued for hours, making me do the same thing over and over and over and over again, even though he knew, okay, well, that was her last chance and we're going to send her home. It was like insult to injury, knowing that for hours and hours, I was just doing something for what? For humiliation?
No, to see if you could figure it out. It's not about humiliation, because
but
repetition
I did.
is how
I
you
actually
learn.
did, and they still sent me home.
Well, what, permanently? I mean,
yeah, no, permanently. I'm done.
So repetition is the only way you learn anything. That's why school teachers make you write shit 5,000 times. That's how people learn. Which
is one of the reasons I feel like this world. Okay, remember if I asked you back in the day, like, am I in hell? Is this hell? Is that why I've been getting all these warnings that this is the last time? And I'm so afraid of failing all the time because I'm going to end up alone on, my own personal hell, like my own version of it. And if death isn't real, I could go jump off a bridge, or I can like electrocute myself or something, but I'm just going to wake up in another life, right? Like, or it's going to be even worse than this one. So what's the difference? What's the difference between a repetitive life that you're failing over and over and over in and hell?
Because sooner or later in repetitive life, you figure it out. In hell, you can't. You're stuck.
Yeah, hell, you're stuck.
That's the difference, and that's the whole goal to life.
Like, no matter where I'm at or where I go, I just don't know how to get out. I don't know how to fix
and it's hard to get out. I'm gonna tell you. When I was 27, 28, I was getting tired of working people. I was getting tired of not making any money. We just had a new baby come in. Couldn't afford the damn kid. Couldn't afford the hospital. But couldn't afford a lot of things. And I was tired. And I wasn't even making that bad of money. I was doing construction. And still, because of the way things were on the planet, it was just, it got to the point where I just wanted to quit and just sit on my ass and do absolutely nothing. That's really what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I've been there too.
And then you know what I did one day? I made some flyers. I made one flyer and I went down. I think it was Nico's or whatever they call themselves back in the day.
Yeah.
And I think I had $50. I didn't even have that. I had like $10, and I printed off. I think it was 500 flyers. And I went and handed out flyers. I went to all these different apartment complexes, handed out flyers. In the first week, I got 2 calls. I was like, "Oh, okay." Within 6 months, I was hiring a crew. Within 2 years, I was making $400,000 a year. And this because I can't work for somebody. I'm right now. I'm stuck because we're not making any money. And I can go be a boss somewhere, but it's not who I am. I don't do well when I have to be stuck to a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 job. It's just not who I am. I don't like it, and eventually it wears on my nerves. And I get aggravated. I've been in business for myself for too long now, just to go back. I mean, I could go drive for Uber or somebody and make some extra money right now because I could sure use the extra money, but still, I prefer to be in my own businesses. And right now I'm busting my ass just to find customers. And as long as this economy is running the way it is, I'm going to have a hard time finding customers. But still, I don't have a choice. The alternative is not something I want to do. I have a grown son. I have, grandkids, great grandkids. I don't have the ability to just let people down. So I have to keep going. I don't have that.
I feel like I've let everyone down that I've ever loved.
Everybody's let somebody down, chick. That's nothing. Everybody does that.
There's no one else in my life to let down anymore. Like,
well, that's a good thing. That means you can start fresh and then let somebody else down later on.
I can't just walk up to some random people on the street and be like, "Hey, can I be your friend and family?" Like, no, that's not how it works.
I do that shit all the time. Matter of fact, I embarrassed a group of my friends Mardi Gras before last. I shouldn't even tell this story, but so we come walking after parking our car, and I'm walking at a big group of people doing something they shouldn't be doing. So I just walked into the middle of, "Hey, what you doing? Hey, can I have some of that?" And I made 5 new friends in a matter of 10 minutes. I'm still friends with, by the way.
But you're not in the Quad Cities where.
No, I'm living in New Orleans, which is worse.
No, it happens worldwide. Listen, I was in college when I went down to the Savannah College of Art and Design after my orientation. They had this big meeting with us, and they said, "Don't go walking around the town at night by yourself. If you do, go with friends." And they didn't say 2 or 3; they said 4, 5, 6 people. Right? The city was dangerous. That's what they said. So I was bored as hell. I had like a little bit of weed, but nothing to smoke it with. So I put the weed in my pocket and I went walking down through the city, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. I think I actually walked over to the beer store across from my house and got a single and was drinking that. I finished it and I turned the corner and went down an alleyway, and here comes a gentleman down the other end of the alleyway. I'm like, "Oh, here it is. I'm dead." We get a little closer. He's black. I'm white. And we just started talking, and he's like, I forget how it brought up, but he's like, "Hey, I got this rolling paper and I'm looking for something to smoke it with." I'm like, "Dude, I got weed." He's like, "What?" And we smoked a joint together in the back of this alley at midnight in Savannah, Georgia. I never saw the guy again, but I'm sure we would be friends forever if we did. And then while we were talking, he said, "I turned down this alley and I saw you, and I saw you were white." And I was like, "Oh God, here it comes. I'm dead." And I'm like, "Dude, that's what I saw when I turned the corner." I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm dead," because that's what the school orientation programmed me for. And instead, I bumped into a complete stranger, presented him with a little handful of weed, and he rolled up a joint, and we smoked weed in the back of an alley at midnight. And we made friends. And then we parted ways and went wherever we went. I don't even remember what I did after that.
It's just, you have to be outgoing in this world. It's just one of those things. It's hard on people, especially contactees and abductees. These abductees have been abused physically and mentally in their head. So it makes it harder to just, and you're a little scary anyway because of other things that's happening in your life. So it's hard to just walk out into the world and meet people. Yeah. But I do it all the time. Even today, I do it all the time.
If I were to try and justify the events of my life and say, okay, if I was to sit down and write a story, an autobiography, right? It would sound in Cliff Notes like I had a really hard childhood, a really, really hard childhood. I saw an alien when I was like 10 years old, 9 or 10. Grew up in foster care after that. Went into the Marine Corps and quit. And every single job I've had ever since then has been difficult. I couldn't figure it out, or I couldn't stick it out. And I've had so many jobs that I realized, like, I can't, I never stuck with anything. And I've tried substances I shouldn't have tried. And so I'm looking back on my life, right, and realizing I made a whole lot of messed up decisions. But it all goes back to this, this idea that I have lived this life before, and this was my only chance to really get it right. And the more I try to explain that to anyone, to my significant other or a doctor or whoever, it just equates to me being insane. It equates to them being like, no, you're not a sane person. And so I'm taking that in with all of my memories, and I'm realizing it's leading me down this path where I could have possibly been warned as a child, or like, these dreams that I have are, like you say, they're warnings. And I'm still heading down this path where it doesn't matter what I do or where I go. I'm just going to eventually continue making the wrong decisions because I don't know how else to live. Apparently, maybe I'm a bad seed. I don't know. And I'm going to end up completely alone in the world. Like, if it takes money to survive, I don't have it. I don't have money. I don't have the ability to just go get a job. I've tried over and over and over again. And so I'm tapped out completely. And so I think about what my future holds, and it's fear. It's the fear that I'm not going to make it on my own. I had the opportunity, right? And it all led up to this one point where it was like everything was going swimmingly. I was with the love of my life. We had an arrangement with my son and his dad, and then it all started going downhill. And our business venture that we started together was basically taken from me. And the whole situation has affected not just my life, but his, my son's, and everyone else's involved. And so it feels like I'm down a dark path that I don't know how to, I'm too far down it to turn around and be like, okay, this is where I can turn around and make it all better. And I've been given warnings after warnings and chances after chances after chances, and it doesn't. What else is there for me? I can't even listen to the radio. I can't listen to TV stations. I can't read books anymore. I can't do any of it. I can't integrate into society. And so what's really out there for somebody that can't be a part of society other than like wandering the streets as a vagabond or, a crazy person?
First off, the majority of people are not active members of society. I don't know where you got that bullshit from, but that's not even true. Most people don't even go out that often, especially like the new generations. They don't do shit.
I don't even mean society. I mean,
I mean they don't.
Like having
so
friends and
so
family.
they get locked into a thing. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. People today will get locked into something and they can't let it go. So then they get stuck. They don't care about their friends. They don't care about their friends. Even if they got it, they don't care. They're moving through life on whatever this thing is in front of their face, and that's what they're doing. That's what you're doing. I've told you before, you are stuck, and you've got to let there's a lot of things in your life you have to let go.
But I've tried moving on. I've tried doing something new. I've tried
moving on is not what I mean. I mean letting go. So in life, sometimes things are presented to you and you have a hard time. It could be anything. It could be love. It could be hate. It could be drugs. It could be a lot of things. But let me ask you this. How long did you smoke weed for? 20
I
years?
started
15 years? Okay, 17 years. And how hard was it for you to quit? I'm not talking about the dreams and shit at night. I'm just talking about how hard was the transition from smoking to not smoking?
Not hard at all. I just
Okay.
decided one day this is it. And, a couple of
Okay.
times I was like, I had a couple of attempts of quitting where I was like, I'm just going to throw off.
I've been there myself. So
But the time I really decided this is it, I don't need this anymore. That was it. I haven't smoked since then.
And the reason I bring this up to you is because once you lock your brain onto something, you can do it. So I had to learn this the hard way. When I quit smoking cigarettes, I tried to quit smoking a couple times when I was young. And then one day I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I did. I haven't smoked a cigarette in 15 years. There's a lot of things I've given up in my life, including alcohol, just because at some moment I decided I had to resolve to do it. Now, there's been a lot of things in my life that I've procrastinated about and screwed around about. I've burned many bridges over the years. Matter of fact, I would be in better positions right now if I'd have been more friendly with some of my other friends. It's just, I'm like everybody else. I get focused on something, and that's where I go. Matter of fact, I get told on a regular basis that I'm not to, I do too much with the radio and not enough with the alien stuff. That it offends the powers to be that I'm not doing what I was put here to do, which is to help people with alien contacts and stuff like that. And I get this. I get letters like this. I get people who write me telling me this stuff. I get phone calls about it. And when I finally get back to that point, which I was, say, 25 years ago, 24 years ago, when I get back to that point, maybe my life will straighten back out again. But I'm not ready to be back at that point right now. I'm ready for other things in my life. Just like you're not ready to let go of some stuff. And besides, pain becomes an old friend. I don't know how to explain. I don't know if you're old enough to understand this. You ever heard the song "Hurt" by Johnny Cash?
I can't listen to music anymore, but yes.
Well, listen to me. Have you listened to this song? I mean, this is an old guy who's been successful in his life, and this is the end of his life he's talking about. Okay, so even him, who was a multi-millionaire, ended up alone, and because he chose certain ways he wanted to go, and he's telling people, don't make these decisions. Move forward with your life. Sometimes it takes giving up
any directions to move forward in.
That's even better. That's even better because now you have the choice.
Pick a direction you would never pick
You
before.
have the choice. Before, life is always putting you in waves and rivers and currents and making you follow. So you blame yourself for stuff, but sometimes you get caught in the current and you're just being drug along with everything else. Sometimes you get caught with a group of friends and you're just wanting to hang out with them. You get just drug along with them. That's why people go to jail for murder and attempted homicides, because they wrong place, wrong time, because they're hanging out with crowds that they should have let go of a long time ago. This is for everybody on the planet. We get caught in these things, and sometimes it's easier to have the pain than it is to do what you need to do to make that next step. That's life. It sucks. I'm not lying to you, because right now I should be just opening up a new business to make my life easier, or charging everybody on my radio station $500 a month so I don't have to worry about money. So in your case, you can do something I can't. Okay.
If I would have stayed right where I was and everything was honky dory, I had no issues with, what was going on in my life, it'd be completely different. It would
maybe you don't know that. See, that's the problem. You're fantasizing about something, but you don't know if that's true or not, because you've told me about the other individual, and judging from some of the things you told me, that it wouldn't have mattered anyway. This would have happened no matter what, because that individual has issues to deal with.
Yeah.
So that person using their issues on you was just going to drive things apart no matter what. So the problem for that is you need to find, and what I was saying earlier about you have something you can do that I can't.
What?
Because you're a single white woman, you can apply for grants out to Yin Yang.
Yeah. What?
And you can apply for. I got friends that have gotten grants. Matter of fact, 39-year-old woman just the other day got a grant to open a convenience store. just out of the blue, just went and applied for it. They gave her the money. Boom, boom, boom.
Maybe she has good credit. I
No,
don't.
you have to have good
You
credit.
don't have to
That's
have
not what
credit,
it's
good
about.
credit at all.
You have to have a good plan. So
Yep.
what you do is you put together a plan on how you're gonna run the store, where you want it to be, how many employees you need, how much money it's going to take, and then you go to the government. They like giving women money. They like it a lot.
$5,000 to write a book. You don't even have to produce the book. All you have to do is just say you're researching a book. They'll give you $5,000.
So there's so many venues that you can take right now that you're not even thinking about. And when I say grants, I mean apply for 30, 40, 50 of the damn things.
I don't even have a computer. I don't have
So you don't have to have a computer. You can go down to the place and do it.
You can go to the county assistant's office and they'll give you all the
and there's places you can apply for federal grants. You can go to, I think it might even be the Social Security office. They got a computer right in there. You can sit there and file away.
I've been to the Social Security office in my town so many times, and there is no computer there.
What kind of crappy Social Security office you got? Go to Chicago then. Screw them. And then a lot of this stuff can be hand filled.
Have you been to your county's Department of Human Services, like the county assistance office?
I don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? No, because I don't.
Check them out. It'd be the same place where like all the guys for all the unemployment people are, and they'll have all sorts of resources for you to research grants and apply for grants. They'll give you they'll have
most grants you can file with the pen and paper.
They don't have the pamphlets of the grants. They at least be able to print them out for you at their printers there.
And you can do them, and you can do them by hand. A lot of grants are still done by hand. You don't have to be on a computer. But the point is that you have an opportunity that I don't. I'm going to tell you what they told me. This is a true story, ladies and gentlemen. This is a long time ago, but I went to go apply for a grant for my company, for my other company. And I had a whole program. Everything was great. And the lady told me, she said, if you weren't a white male in your 30s, you would have got this grant. But because you're a white working male, there's not a shot in hell they're going to. And I should have sued them right then and there, but I couldn't have proved it anyway. But she was honest with me. She said, I'm just being honest with you, Joe. There's not a shot in hell you can get it. She said, now, if you were a white woman, 38, 39, 40 years old, yeah, they'd have probably gave it to you. And but she said, because you're a white male, you're not going to get it. And she also told me if I was a black male, I probably wouldn't have got it. But if I was a black or white female, I would get it.
Also, Lee, you can go to your public library and use the computers there.
You can do them too.
And if you print something out, they charge you, 10 cents a page or something like that. But
I live under so much fear. Okay, like I am having a hard time integrating into any public setting. I can't go to the grocery store.
Well, good. That's a good thing then. So the library is a good thing to integrate into a public setting. It's quiet. It's laid back. There's not a bunch of crazy asses
hardly
running
nobody
around.
There. Most libraries
go in
are empty.
and you can find a place in the library and sit down. And that's a good place to help you integrate right there. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to do it if you want to survive. You're going to have to do it. So that's a good place to start. And then there's going back to getting some of this stuff out of your head. You got a lot of garbage in there that needs to go. Trust me, I fight this all the time. My brain, it's like when I'm not making like $200,000 a year, my brain is going overdrive. Okay. It's like, what the hell's wrong? What are you doing, Joe? What's stupid? Why are you not paying your bills right? My brain just kicks into overdrive. I can't sleep at night. I end up getting like 2 hours sleep at night.
Yep.
It's
been there.
So there's a point where some of this stuff you have to get it. However, you know how I get it out. I do this. This is how I get it out. I just blow off steam, especially on news on the flip side. Like this Friday, since we got all this assassination stuff to talk about and all this other crazy shit, and the president having COVID and Kamala polling at 17% below, we got a lot to talk about. And it allows me to get, even this show allows me to get somewhat frustrated and really get stuff out. But if you can identify what the base is, okay, so there's something in your life or something in your head that's the base to all of this. There's something that allowed this to kick off, something that scared you or drove you to a point that it allowed you to make this decision. So abductees have shitty lives. Okay, it's rare that I meet an abductee that has a good life.
When I went to jail. Okay, so basically, the man on the mountain told me that it was thousands of years that this has been going on.
I'm gonna go find this man on the mountain and bitch slap this
boy. but it wasn't just him. It was something, I don't know how to explain it. It was like I remembered, okay? And I remembered being there over and over and over, and the deja vu was leading to something. Well, I don't know how to explain it, but he was answering questions that I barely could even finish asking, like, how many times is this, and somewhere between 25 and 30 at that point. So here I am, 15 years later, and my life has continued on in a way, and it's very real, and I've affected other people's lives, and I've continued on, and it's disappearing in front of me, okay? And that's, I guess, my fears playing out in real time. And I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. I don't know. It's
so it doesn't really matter. You still have to go back. Even a psychiatrist will tell you this. Matter of fact, Scientology will tell you this. There's something in your life. Something. There's a starting point that started this. That has to be removed. Whatever kicked this off has to be removed or dealt with. You haven't done either one. So until you do that,
so many times, I don't know how to deal with something without knowing how to deal with it. And
you know what I'm gonna do then? I'm gonna hypnotize you and just block it out of your damn head.
And so here I am, right, going back in my mind, knowing, okay, these are real life experiences I've had. This stuff happened. I ended up running from that man on the mountain because I had memories of him basically strangling me to death over and over. And then I ended up in jail for kicking out the window of a cop car. And when I ended up in jail, I had memories of being there over and over and over again. And so this is a pattern that has been going on, right? And when I was in jail, something happened. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like this knowledge, it happened quickly, like within a matter of minutes of me realizing this is somewhere I've been before, where I had understood that there's like, this is basically you create your own heaven and you create your own hell. There's nowhere else.
Well, right there's part of your problem because you're stuck in that loop like most Christians are.
Right.
So you're stuck there, and that's hurting you. But I'm gonna tell you how you know that the jail thing was completely false. So this is the difference between having experience with this and not having experience. So let's say you've lived 27 lives, and let's say it's happened in the last 6,000 years. Okay, let's say your last life was just 50 years ago. Okay, if you'd have went to jail 50 years ago, it would have been a much different experience than what you just experienced. And if you'd have went to jail 100 years ago, that would have been much different than the 50 years before. This is how you know what you're saying is wrong, because each time you'd have went to jail through each life would have been a completely different experience. And what I mean by that is the whole way it went down from what the jail looked like to what you feel like to what you smelled. Because remember, smell is a big kicker for the brain. It's one of the things that sets off memories the most. So all of this would have been different. Like in the old jails in the 1800s, you'd have smelled a lot of horse shit, a lot of cow shit, a lot of dirt, a lot of mud. You'd seen a lot of other things, which also would have meant more than likely you weren't a female, you were a male. It was rare that females went to jail in the 1800s or the 1700s or the 1600s. They were usually executed on the spot. So the point I'm trying to get across to you, even at the Spanish Inquisitions, there weren't that many women that were being done. It was mostly men. Mm-hmm. So for you to have been there, that means you would have had to been extra special, something above and beyond what everybody else was doing.
Like,
which
I don't
means
have
today
memories.
You would even be further up than that. The point I'm trying to make is you're letting yourself get caught in false loops, and this happens to abductees. They get caught in these false loops because they think this is what's going on in their lives, because what they're trying to do is they're hiding what is really going on. Abductions are a scary, horrible thing. And what people like you do, instead of facing the abduction, you take everything else around you that you can grab on and hold on to, and you drag it into your life to try to hide what really happened to you. And that's not the only one. People who have been abused, like women that have been raped or molested young, they do the same thing. Matter of fact, a good chunk of women who come to see us about alien abductions turned out to be molestation. but yet they thought it was an alien abduction. But in reality, when they're hypnotized and put under voice stress, it turns out to be something entirely different. That's your case. That's who you are. That's what you're allowing to go on in your head. And it's something you're going to have to figure out a way to get out of your head. You can talk to us daily, but still, until you're ready to commit, which you haven't been yet, it's not going anywhere. And you're stuck in a false memory that you're not willing to let go of. Actually, I think you're stuck in about 3 false memories that
when
you're
we
not
get
willing
off
to
the
let go of.
phone, right? I'm gonna go about my day knowing that there's only so many options in front of me, and they're
Okay,
just
just the grand thing alone opens up about 300 options to you. And Jay's right. Almost all local libraries any size have computers you can use in them. Matter of fact, before I ever owned a computer, that's where I used to go use it at, was at the library. I would spend hours in there sometimes looking at books, reading stuff about hypnosis, reading stuff about contact, reading stuff about all sorts of stuff besides that. And I'm not even a big reader. So you have to be willing to let go of the damage and start replacing the damage with something different. And whether it's research or not, sitting in a library and researching for hour on end is enough to break what's going on in your head. You need something to wedge through it, and you're not putting anything there. I mean, you're relying on one individual to help you with that, but that's not enough. And all you're going to do is damage that relationship. If you don't fix this, you're only going to damage that. Matter of fact, that goes both ways. If he doesn't fix that, he's only also going to damage it. Y'all both got some repair you have to do. And y'all aren't the only ones. I hate to just say y'all, because this is common amongst people, especially amongst abductees. And these are things that you grab on to hide what the real base is. If you actually saw a grave when you were a child, that means you've been being taken your whole entire life. And things like downloads get put into your head, and instead of accepting the download for what it is, you try to make it into something else.
No,
like when you were talking about the jail. No, because that's what that was. What happened in jail was a download, but instead of taking it for what it was a download, you tried to turn that download into what you wanted it to be, not what it actually was.
How was I supposed to know what it was, other than what it looked like and what it felt like? And
no, because you wanted it to fit like that. You're just like I was when I was young. I was my own worst enemy. When my dad died, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was my own worst enemy by far. Anybody who knows me will tell you I was my own worst enemy. And I didn't give a shit what anybody said. I was always right, and everybody else was always wrong. And whatever was in my head was what the way it was. But that wasn't true. What was in my head was totally wrong. And at a point, so for you, the library is a good place to start. It's a good place to just go sit and get on a computer and look around at the grants and see what you'd like to do. So let me ask you this. On a completely side note, what is it, if you had a choice of a business to get into, what would it be?
A business to get into? Well,
yeah, I mean, if you could get into a business, what would you want to do? I mean, let's say Chris, you mean be a hair designer. She might not want to be a hair designer. And anybody can go to school to cut hair. I could do that. I'd probably just be shitty at it. I could do it. I'd give people bad haircuts, but I could do it. But anyway, regardless, Leah, see that right there is a question you need to go through. You need to put this in your brain for the next couple of weeks. Let this start to remove some of that other shit in your head. Let the thought of what kind of business can I get into, or what would I like to do. But
you don't understand. No, there is no part of this world anymore that I feel like I can be a part of.
Because you're not being a part of it. You just answered your own question. You're not being a part of it. That's why you feel that way. Even a psychologist will tell you this.
No,
you don't want to be part of it, so that's why you feel it.
That was literally all this energy that I put into something, and it's been for nothing.
So a question, was that a realistic job for you though? Was that realistic for you? And answer truthfully. Don't bullshit me, because I know the answer.
It was an opportunity for me to.
It was an opportunity, but instead, what you should have been doing is you should have been. If you were going to go to school for something, it should have been something different, something that you would have been more comfortable with doing, something that would have been less stressful. Because the CDL just added stress to your life, is what it did. And it's not that I don't think you do it. I think after a couple of chances, you would get it anyway. I've known you long enough to know if you really apply your brain, you can do something.
I know.
But right now, you're stuck, and I would start going. I would set myself up to go to the library 3 days a week or 4 days a week.
I don't.
Go get a card. They're free. They don't cost anything.
Yep.
Go get on a damn computer and
So
start
many
looking up
hundred-
grants.
Because
And that's
wherever
another
I
thing.
go,
Start thinking.
wherever I am, where it doesn't matter if it's a job, it doesn't matter if it's a library, it doesn't matter if it's McDonald's, doesn't matter if it's just
It's
Walmart.
a big difference between a library and McDonald's, boo.
Yeah.
It's a big
I'm
difference
just
between
saying
sitting
it
on a
doesn't
computer.
matter where I am.
But it
okay,
does.
This is a personal thing. No, I feel like I'm in hell. I don't know how to explain it. I just feel like I'm not.
That's because
where
you
I'm
won't let
supposed to
go
be.
of it. I keep telling you that. That's because you won't let go of it. That's what you want to feel. You've got this thing, and I know it caused
No,
it.
I don't.
Oh, yes, you do. You told me what it
No, I
was. That's what
don't.
caused this. Yes. The thing you and I'm not going to bring it up on air because I don't think it's a personal thing, so I don't want to talk about it. But you told me what caused this. You can fix this, but you would rather feel that because it's feeling something than going after the right thing. Some people just want to feel regardless what it is. And that's what you're doing to yourself.
Knowing. I know that I'm in a world.
But you don't know. You're not God. Are you? Wait, so you're telling me you're God?
I
You
know. I
That's a strong
know.
word, baby. Telling me you know suggests that you're either very psychic and clairvoyant, which means you shouldn't be in the position you're in now, or you're God. So which one is it?
Well, I had a dream once where I was told that, by somebody that I trusted a lot, and in a certain point in my life, it was like a life mentor, really, whatever you want to call it. Like he was a lot to me, like what you are, and a friend, and to be honest, I don't even know who. He's part of this whole story too, where now I look back on it and it was just this chapter of my life that makes no sense. But he came to me in a dream years ago when I was frantic, just like this, and stopped me dead in my tracks and looked me in the eyes and said, "Leah, you are God." Because that's one of the themes that I'm dealing with, is like not knowing if there's a God, not understanding what God is, not able to comprehend.
Do you want to get close to God? Do you really want to get close to God? Go buy a dog.
Exactly. So what does that mean? God
So
is.
what? But no, really, go get a dog. What does dog spell backwards? God. Dogs are God made manifest so they can keep an eye on us because he's too busy with other worlds to be worried about our little shitty asses. When in a grant, let me ask you this: do you think Jesus had a good life?
No,
He had a shitty life, didn't he? No, I mean he had a shitty life, but did he ever give up? Did he ever quit? He even died on the cross. But the point being, he had a crappy life from the time he was conceived till the time he was hung on that cross.
That's
But
another
he still
thing
did
in
it.
my life where I
He
feel like
still did it.
He was hunted before
Like
he was
we
even
are.
born. They were hunting for him.
That's another theme that I've been dealing with, is looking at humanity and thinking to myself, like, we're all the second coming. We are the second coming. And
There's not going to be a second coming.
I know, because we all are.
No, there is no second coming. Remember, you can believe whatever you want to believe when it comes to religion. So just so you people out there know this, the Old Testament was the one that was inspired by God. The New Testament was written by man for the control of man. That's
Right.
all it was. So most people only quote the New Testament because they don't know the Old Testament. And all of them, regardless which one you believe, were just stories that were put together and then put into a book. So one, personally, I could never think that God was this horrible, vindictive bastard that the Bible says he is. Two, that he didn't like women. I mean, there's just issues with the whole thing. Plus, we know in the New Testament there's 27 chapters left out, 28. I don't know, there's a bunch.
Well, yeah,
including the Mary Magdalene.
Unedited was like 84 chapters, and the current King James is like 62 chapters.
Yeah, they're just so. So when you get into all of this, this is life. There's things left out of your life. There's pieces of the puzzle that you're not putting in there. So you need something that's going to divert some of this energy and some of this thought and some of this hate and some of this sadness. And the library and focusing on a new business, a new way of life is a good way to start that. It'll also help you to deal with who, because y'all got issues y'all got to both deal with so you don't have fights.
I know that I cannot do it on my own. Okay, I know I can't. If that makes me
okay. So listen to this. You don't have to do this on your own. So this is where you're screwing up. So first off, talking about getting grants, you go to the library, you look it up, you find out the grant, you apply for it. If you get the grant, that allows you to do what? It allows you to bring in people to do what? Help you. That's how the real world works. Do you know we have people come in from countries all around the world and get grants here alone, first time in this country, can't even speak the freaking language, and then what the first thing they do is they get a grant and they hire Americans to help them out. That's how the world works. You get something started and then you find the people to back you up. Or if you're lucky, sometimes you can find the people ahead of time.
That was already done, and it wasn't.
No, what's it got to do with already done?
It was.
Do you know how many? It doesn't matter if it's already been done. That's not an excuse not to do something else.
The people here wouldn't give me grants. They wouldn't, because all the people that give out grants,
It's not them. No. That ain't how this works. The federal government gives out grants.
These are federal grants.
These are federal loans and they got loans and grants. And you definitely
the money that they have for these grants has to be given out every year. They can't have this money left over, or they get less money budgeted if they do. Yeah. So
if the federal government was to find out a local was trying to interfere, they would put them in prison.
Understands.
That is no, you don't understand. That's the problem. You want to blame it on everybody else when this is you.
No,
I have to do this. You don't want to go to the library, but you need to. You need to spend some time there. You need to give your brain something else to focus on besides dead air, and that's what you're doing right now. You're just letting your brain focus on dead air. It's just dead air floating around in your head, and you're just letting it go, and you're not putting anything in its place. The brain needs food.
I'm trying to work. I'm trying to find a job.
Work is just work. Work is just, everybody's got to work. That's not what I'm talking about. This is things to feed your brain, and work doesn't feed your brain. Work just strains your brain. You need things to feed. You know, one of the ways I feed my brain. I can't do it right now because I don't have the time. But usually, I will get in my car, and I will drive sometimes 16 hours, just so I can see something new. And the problem for me is I've driven so many places around where I live now. I have to drive at least 16 hours to see something.
I'm in too much pain.
It's and even with that, see, you don't even have to go that far because there's other places around you that are worth seeing. But you don't really even need to do that right now. You need to put yourself in a place where you can look at stuff that, one, is not depressing, two, that may actually have benefits for you. And looking at businesses, first thing I would do is I would sit down. If I wasn't a guy, I'd be doing it right now. So the first thing I would do is I would sit down and I would look at a bunch of different businesses that I think that I would like to do. So this is the difference between owning a business and enjoying a business. The reason I got into construction was because I like to see the completion of a job. The reason I got into radio was because I just got a big mouth. No, that's not the reason. It's but I got into contracting because I enjoy seeing a finished product. It's what I like to do, and I worked my ass off until I could get to where I was. And if it wouldn't have been for stupid Joe Biden, I'd still be making a couple $100,000 a year. So
I'm too far gone.
You're not too far gone. I'm 22, 23 years older than you, and I'm doing it right now. So you're not too far gone. That's just an excuse. You want excuses because you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. No, you don't want to do it. That's what the problem is here. You gotta want to do it. I just told you a dozen things you could do, and you keep telling me there's nothing. So all that tells me is you
need
just
to come
don't want to
and see
do
this
it.
place where I live. You need to see it with your own eyes.
Screw your place. So if they don't have a decent library there, get your car and drive the 3 hours to Chicago and go to one of the greatest libraries on the planet.
Get shot, right? Go get shot in Chicago.
You're not gonna get shot in Chicago. You're a white girl.
Don't go to Chicago. Go to another city then if your library doesn't have what you need.
But most cities with more than 100,000 people in them usually have good libraries. I mean, New Orleans has only got 350,000. It's got 3 of the best libraries on the planet. And remember this: you don't even have to go to a public library. If you got a good college nearby, they have great libraries, and they let you use those too. So I like Tulane University. I'll go in Tulane, or we'll go. There's a lot of colleges down here that have great libraries.
It's a
Beautiful
culmination of not just other people's decisions, but my own decisions and the attitudes and behaviors that I've exhibited.
So you're just telling me you're letting other people dictate your life?
No, I've been going along with my life, and there was a moment in time, like a wrinkle in time, where it was good. Okay, and everything was gonna be okay. I could have rode that wave, but
no, you couldn't have. You keep saying that, but that's a lie. Stop lying to yourself. You know as well as I do, just from conversations we've had and y'all have had, that that's not true. That was going to happen no matter what. That was not an option for you long term. Maybe short term, but not long term.
Why is it that I have dreams of being homeless? Why, if we only dream of things that we've already seen?
I have dreams of being homeless.
We also have dreams about things that we are afraid that might happen.
Yeah, of fears. You dream about your fears. You only dream about faces because it's only faces you can see, but you dream about fears. That's what dreaming's about.
I keep having dreams about my son dying. And when you told me that if I were to,
that's absolutely normal. I had dreams all the way until my parents actually did die. I had dreams about how I would react in my dreams if my parents were to die, and I had those for years. And then they actually did die, and I didn't react the way I dreamed I would react.
Well, Trump just called and he said he's been listening to the show and he said, fight, fight, fight.
Mm-hmm.
Go, Mr. Trump. I didn't know you listened to UFO Undercover. All right, brother. I like you right off the bat. No, I'm being serious. He just called in. That's what he just said. And, it's funny. Elon Musk joined my account today. I'm like, yeah, probably some freaking freako is what it is. What's that, Jackie? So Jackie's saying that at 36, she was completely suicidal and she was actually homeless. She was living under a bridge in a tent. And well, listen, let me finish what she said. She said she was completely homeless, living in a tent. You're already better off than she is. That's what she's saying. You're already in a better spot. So she started going. She finally found a place where she could get cleaned up and take a shower. And she just kept walking around until she found a place. She ended up in a what was it, Boo? A mission. And they helped her to get established and helped her to go through the government and get a loan for the business she has today, which is, what is it? A cookie factory? Oh, so she owns 5 cookie carts in 5 malls. And she makes good money. I could say what she makes, but she makes good money. But that's what she's saying. She was way off than you were. And she was out there with 2 kids, by the way, when she was homeless. So you don't have to be there. You're already ahead of her.
Cookies already, like she probably had a passion for making cookies. If you were to ask me what am I passionate about? Like what is it that I love to do?
Well, that's not what happened here. So what happened here, she had no passion for anything. She said she was broke, done, and over with. She said if this was going to be life, why keep doing this? So while she was at the mission, they had her baking chocolate chip cookies out of them rolls, and it comes in the rolls. And eventually it became a thing there, and she established herself there. What do you want? And from that point forward, she started looking around, and then they helped her find a way to get the money she needed, which was a government loan, not a grant. She got a loan for, what was it, $275,000, and started her business. She said, I had 0 credit, 0 money in the bank, no car, no home. I was staying in the back room at this mission when they would let me. And now I have, she said, I have an 8-room mansion, an 8-bedroom mansion with 9 bathrooms. Damn, girl, I'm jealous. I want to get in the cookie business. Shit.
I failed.
Send me the information is. But so did she. That's what she's telling you. She failed everything in her life until she got to that point.
This year, the beginning of this year, actually started last year. I had several health issues, which contributed to me losing my job in January. I was without a job for 3 months, and then I had 2 jobs. I went to one, and then I'm on to the second one, which I'm fairly certain that I will be hired on permanently at the end of the season, because I know almost everybody who worked there before I even started. So here's the thing: when I was off work, when I was unemployed, I thought, what can I do? I didn't want to keep doing what I was doing. I wanted to make the same amount of money, but do something else that I enjoyed. So I looked into Bob Ross painting. And if you look in the private chat, there's a couple links for you. There's a picture of me with some of my paintings from my teacher's website. There's lots of stuff you can do. I mean, I went to art school. I went to art school to learn to do video and photography, and I had to take certain art classes. So just for fun, I took Introduction to Oil Painting. And guess what? I failed. I got an F. I flunked right out.
Yeah, I
I couldn't
failed
do
some
it.
shit in
I
my
could
time
mix the
too.
paint because I've been painting models for my whole life, but I flunked right out of intro to oil painting. I could not do it. But then I took one class. My girlfriend gave me $60 because I was unemployed, and I went to this painting class, and I made a oil painting in the Bob Ross style. And if you look on that link, you can just scroll down. There's a bunch of pictures of me holding pictures that I did. Try it. It's a lot of fun. You would be surprised how much it's like a 4-hour class, but it goes by like that really quick. And then you have an actual product or something really cool that you made that you can hang on your wall.
And you know, one day you might be sexy like me too, so that always helps.
Yeah.
Michael said that he was living with he was married with 2 kids, and he ended up getting divorced, ended up living with his parents, quit his job, started doing drugs because he was just depressed out of his mind, and realized one day that he was having some kind of weird contact. Oh, that's right. I remember you now. Oh, yes, you contacted November. Oh, remember who the hell you are? Yeah, November. I knew November Hanson. I sure remember now. So this guy is a much more horrible story than you are. He attempted suicide twice. He cut his wrist deep enough that he should have bled to death, but he said something intervened, and he said it wasn't God. He said it was something else. And they found him in an alleyway. It looked, according to the ambulance people, someone had clipped or something had clipped what looked like a roach clip, where he had cut it and clipped it together, kept him from bleeding to death. And the doctor said it was weird because it looked like it had been sterilized, but he said he's not sure because he didn't get infected. Then after that, the son of a bitch tried to commit suicide again. And then he found us and he started working with us. And we started just working to get some of the stuff out of his head, giving him something else to think of, other things to look at. And I think November had put him on a journal course, which is write the bad stuff down so that it doesn't keep repeating itself. So eventually he did it. He's where do you work now? Oh, well, yeah. You know, I've had friends go and come at Home Depot and at Lowe's. I got family and friends that work at both of them. But he's a supervisor for Lowe's, for Home Depot now, making good money up there. Well, you up there, but Jay, you need to get Jay a job. He's in Pennsylvania.
I got a job. I'm working for the other.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you said you. Yeah, he's working for the good people. Anyway, so the point is, though, you have to replace the negative in your head with something else. You have to. This isn't an option anymore. For you, you have to do it. If you want to be here for your son in 10 years, then you have to change this shit in your head. It's like changing underwear or changing socks or whatever. You have to change it. You have to start giving your brain other things to think about. And you don't understand. Your brain's working on overtime right now. If you give it something good to think about, it's going to work that overtime too. So if you start going to the library and looking at different companies or different jobs or different careers, your brain will start boom, 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 and it will start replacing this other shit with that. And then when you start looking at the grants and loans, your brain will replace the rest of that shit with this. And eventually it will help you to work this out and bring you in the right direction. This is Psychology 101. No, I'm not a psychologist, Gina, and I will never be a psychologist. I don't have the patience for it.
Actually wanted, like that was like, I want to be there. That's where I want to be. That wasn't the place that I helped open. Was Bigelow Aerospace. I would drive past it.
Ooh, that's a good job.
I filled out an application to scrub toilets just to be there. Like, that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be a part of that. And I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have any real world work experience because I've worked at so many different places that, you know, people look at me and they're like, well, why couldn't you just stay put somewhere? And that's one of my problems.
Because I got ants in my pants. That's why I couldn't. Why do you think I went? That's another reason. That's a whole nother reason why I went into business for myself, because I was never good. Even when I was making big money from McDonald's. So when I left there, I went to work at Taco Bell, making even more money. I never could keep a job for more than about a year.
McDonald's wouldn't hire me.
About a year and a half.
You get turned down by McDonald's and Taco Bell.
Oh, everybody gets turned by them at least once. Well, especially in little towns.
Yeah, I was unemployed for 2 years before I got my job at the Home Depot in 2012. I applied every day. I've spent 4 to 5 hours on the computer applying to jobs, even the same job that I applied to the day before. I applied to the Home Depot, must have been 30, 40 times, and they hired me on as a part-time associate. Then 3 months in, they gave me the thing. You just got to keep trying. It sucks. It was the worst thing ever. I hated doing it. I mean, 2 years straight, no job. That was the worst period of my life. But fortunately, I had people that did help me along. But once I got the job, things started to turn around.
Who's going to hire me? Nobody.
Everybody will hire you. You just got to go out there and apply. You just got to apply. Apply to everything.
I've put in so many applications, and this Schneider job was the only one that was like, yeah, come on board. And now they're like, we don't
try
want
another one. Try JB Hunt. Try another company.
I was telling her about
experience.
No, I told you that's not true. They've got training down here out the yin yang. I told you that a bunch of times. See, it's not even that. You could come down, right? See, it's where you are is what the problem is. As long as you're willing to live there and put up with the crap, then you're going to have to deal with it.
I have nowhere else to go.
There are way better places to live and go. And I've told you before, you need to check with the different states.
Where I'm at and go anywhere, I'd show up a homeless person. I
no,
might as
you
well
wouldn't.
just be homeless.
No, I've told you before how to do that. See, you don't want to listen because you don't want to do it. You're stuck where you are because you want to be stuck where you are. And I've told you this 100 times. There's HUD programs out the yin. I know because one of our jobs is we're HUD specialty contractors. They are everywhere. I mean, they'll give you a damn voucher, especially you. They'll give you a damn voucher and go get an apartment anywhere you want to that accepts the voucher.
Hey, check it out. I actually applied for that here and was denied.
Because you're in shithole town. And you should have challenged that. Did you challenge it?
No.
Did you appeal it? You should have.
It's because
you're
housing authority, $48. It's either $48. And they said it's because I owe another housing authority $48 or $84 or something like that. And so I'd have to pay them off.
Bullshit to me. Is it in that town? Because it can't be in another town because it wouldn't make any difference.
This is how I know. Like, I know I'm in. I can't take it.
So everything you tells me all the time tells me that you made a boo-boo when you went back to where you are right now. It's not where you're meant to be. It's just not where you're meant to be. Do you know what they pay just so down here right now? You could walk in and be a cocktail waitress making $10 an hour plus tips, which comes out to about $1,500 a week.
Yeah.
No experience, no interviews, don't give a shit how many jobs you've worked. Matter of fact, most casinos don't give a shit how many jobs you work unless you're doing high up in the money. So these are places that Vegas, New Jersey, Louisiana, Mississippi. These are all places you could be living, making way more money than you are right now and having a much better life and giving yourself opportunities that you don't have now.
What am I supposed to do?
Well, you got one job. Well, listen to me. You got one job right now. Find some other bullshit part-time job. Take the part-time job money and put it in the bank until you've got enough to get an apartment somewhere and move your ass out of that town because you're never going to get what you want there. It's never going to happen. And if you're looking for love there, if that's what you're actually staying for, then and I've told you this before, you're going to have to put your foot down and say, okay, what the fuck is this? When are we going to fix this? Why are we doing this? Because you can't just keep living your life in a shithole for a maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to stay there, then you've had to find a way to start getting the negative out of your head. And I've told you this before. You can't be with people if all you feel is negativity all the time. It's just going to show off into somebody else. And again, you're empathic. So if you're around somebody and you're having these feelings, they're feeling it too. The downside to being an abductee or contactee is that you're empathic and you're transferring those emotions. And all it does is double up on the person. So if you're fighting with somebody and you're mad and they're mad, you're just doubling up their emotions by putting yours on them as well. So you have to fix this. This is not an option for you. I know you don't think you can, you don't want to or whatever, but you have to fix it. And if going to the library or looking for careers you might want to be in or ways that you can get money, it's what you should be doing because you do qualify for loans and grants. I bet you qualify a loan to go back to school. Should I qualify for a loan to go back to school? And I'm 60 years old.
I actually can't go back to school for 3 years.
What the hell did you do? You can't go back to school for 3 years. Oh, you
I
got a
can't
loan
because
already.
I can't
Okay.
afford it for one. And in order to take out loans, I have to wait 3 years because I'm under a disability forgiveness program where I've been approved for disability forgiveness. And in order for them to process that, it's a 3-year monitoring process
Then
where
apply for the grant. Apply for the grant. Single older women are qualified for a lot of grants for school to go back to school. Not just to go back to school, but for all sorts of other businesses.
it's all screwed up.
It is screwed up, but you can fix it. You just don't want to. You're going to have to stand up. And like I said, because we ain't got much time left, and I got a show I got to do after this, but it's you've got a brain. So this is your brain on cocaine. Okay. This is your brain off of cocaine. So no, she's not on cocaine. It's just an expression, people. What I mean by that is you have to give the brain something to hold on to. So all you're letting your brain feed on is negativity. You're not giving it anything else to feed on to. Nothing. You're not holding on to anything. You're not hoping for anything. You're not trying to change your life in any way. You're just letting the shit repeat.
My life. I've been trying so hard. I've been trying so hard, and I'm realizing it doesn't matter how hard I try. I'm screwed. Doesn't matter. So every single time I try.
So I've given you in the last 3 weeks. I've given you at least a dozen things you could do to change that, and you haven't done one of them. So you're not trying.
True.
It is true. I talk to you all the time. That is true. And you look. I'm telling you. First off, you need the library is a good place, not just to get your brain clear and to learn some stuff and maybe look at some things that may help you in the future, but it's also a place that you may actually meet someone that you might want to talk to. Because you are a chatty catty when you want to be. So the fact that you're not doing that's also binding you up. Because you're not this silent little person that sits at home. That's not who you are. That's another reason why if you're ever going to have a relationship, you're going to have to balance that out. Fortunately, I'm with people that don't mind that I yap all the time, but you need to give your brain other kind of foods than what you're giving it. It's really what it comes down to.
A family. I could have had a family. I could have had friends.
Still can have a family.
No, I can't.
Why can't you? All I ever hear is just I can't. That's a defeatist attitude, boo. That's all I ever hear out of you. And as long as you think like that, that's all you're going to ever be is a defeatist. You have to let go of that. As far as families, anybody can have a family. You're a 38-year-old woman. You just millions of people out there. You get a family. Shit, you get adopted, and you don't even have to have a damn kid if you don't want to. You got one, adopt. And if you establish, and this is another thing, if you go out and you get these grants and the loans, and you establish your own business, and you show the world that you're established, you won't have any problems with the child you have now.
Yeah, and you have more friends than you can count.
And be surprised. So you're not trying to put yourself in that situation. I would let Whitty come up here and talk to you, but she's meaner than I am, so I'm not going to. And Haley was off tonight. She didn't come by and see us, but yeah, I know I see your head shaking down there. I know. That's the one I was just talking about down there. The person I was just talking about down there at the bottom. She's also had some shit go crazy in her life, like you have. And I'm telling you, girl,
No, I get it. Everyone is everywhere is in
no.
pain.
So everybody, but what we're trying to get across to you. A lot of people listening to the show, a lot of people is involved with this, a lot of people who's tuning in, or have been where you are and have made it out. That's what they're trying to get across to you. You can get out. You just got to get out, and there's ways to do it, but you have to pick something. That you can focus on. You can't keep focusing on the negativity because you're just running around in fucking circles. Excuse my language, people. I know I don't usually curse on UFO Undercover, but you're just running around. And so you're chasing your own tail. You're never going to get out of this if you don't try. And I tell myself this every day because I need to get out of my own shit, but it's, you need to find something to focus that brain on. I really would. I would start looking for things that you think as a business you could do, whether it's a convenience store, or hair cutting, or driving, whatever the hell it could be. Because I don't know you in that aspect. So, you can go look at careers that you think that would be good for you, that you could handle, or businesses that you could do that you could handle, and then go apply for the grant. And I told you the other day you should be applying for the grant or the loan because you could bring who with you. You could say, hey, look, buddy, I now have the business to open this shop. You're going to come work for me now.
Have that conversation, you know what I mean? Like that's.
But it's not having the conversation. No. You see, you're missing what I'm saying. I'm saying do it, get it together, and then say, look, this is what I'm going to be doing. Come over here and work for me and be part of this, or not. You need to move on, because if it's not willing to be part of it, then there is no relationship. So, but you have to put the option there. He's not going to do it because, matter of fact, being a young, good-looking guy, he probably won't be qualified.
I want to be done.
But you qualify where he does. See, that's the other thing. You're going to qualify for things he can't qualify.
Grants.
Or loans. You don't have to be a grant. You can be a loan too.
No, I don't have money. I don't have credit.
Well, you don't have to have money to get a loan. You don't understand how the grant and loan system works. It's not based on your credit. It's based on your ideas. So when you go to a loan, when you go to ask the government for a grant or a loan, first thing they're going to ask you is what kind of business. Second thing they're going to ask you is how much money you need. Third thing you're going to ask is how long do you need it for? In other words, what they mean is how much is it going to cost to establish the business, how much money you need to run the business for a year to get established. You have to know. You have to be able to tell them that, and then they're going to say how many employees you need, and that's figured into that cost.
And
then they give you that money.
When the cafe was being opened, I was there for their business grant meetings. I was there. I served them their favorite drinks. I made them their favorite drinks.
And why would they have a grant meeting? That's not how that works. That was some bullshit going on there. The grant comes from the government. You wouldn't be meeting there. You would be meeting at the government office. That's not how that works. The government issues the grants, not anybody local. The government does. They're gonna call you up and they're gonna set up an appointment with you at whatever office they have. You're gonna go to their office and they're gonna tell you what you need, how you need, and what's going on. And then when it comes time, they're going to call you back in. They may call you on the phone a couple of times. They may drag you into the office a couple of times. And then once the business is established, they will send by a representative to check and make sure that their money's being spent the way you said it was going to be spent. That's how it works. And don't try to argue with me, because this is what Lyndon's brother does for a living. And he's made millions doing it as a living. So he retired on writing grants for companies, not just for little people, but for big people too. Because people forget the little guy gets a grant, but the big guys get grants too. So if they're willing to give a big company a multi-billion-dollar grant, they're willing to give you a $200,000 grant if you got your shit together. And it ain't that complicated. Like I said, if I was a woman, I would have already applied for a grant. I've actually applied since the last time I applied. They're just not going to give it to me.
Rock Island has 2 business assistance programs. Low interest gap financing.
Yeah, that's something local. That's
Dari. Dari is first and only startup grant funding initiative that makes $500 investments into its early stage entrepreneurs. Dari is who gave the cafe their grants. Dari.
So why didn't they go through the federal grant system? I'm confused. Because the federal government turned them down. That's why. Okay, never mind. I understand.
Development Association of Rock Island. That's what DARI stands for. So that's local. That's not the feds. That's some local group that some other groups fund. Probably other businesses fund it. There is no limitations on how much money you can get from the Fed. It's all involved on how you present the business to them. And if you don't present it correctly, they're not going to give you the money. Well, I don't have even a business plan. I don't have any.
That's the whole point of going to the library. That's what we've just been talking about.
I don't have time. Now I just don't have time. Like now I'm just out of time.
Make time.
I don't.
Pick a day a week. Make time.
It doesn't exist. I'm going to end up losing everything. My car, my apartment, everything's gone.
Girl, you can work 2 jobs and still have time to go do this. You can do it on a Saturday. Shit, most libraries are open on Sunday.
No, I don't have years.
You're just making what years? See, you just keep making excuse after excuse after. You don't want to. You just want to quit. That's what you want to do. Just admit it to yourself. That's what you want to do. You just want to quit. Because all you've been doing is making excuses. You're not trying. And shit, where you came from in California, they have getting so many grants. It's not even California has grants. The government has grants. the Society of whatchamacallit has grants out there. They got grants out there, and they love giving
I'm
grants
just
to
one
people.
person. I'm just one person. I don't even.
Everybody is one person.
No, you don't. I don't even have a business in mind, much less people who would come work.
Again, what did I tell you? Why did I tell you? Go to the library and research it.
You can get a grant to write a cookbook. You don't have to produce the cookbook. You can get a grant to do calendar. You can get a grant for scientific research. You don't have to produce anything.
You just need to find
money.
something that's going to interest you long term, something that you feel like you would like to do. Again, I do what I do because I enjoy doing it. That's why I don't work for the man, because I don't like anything the man does. So I work for myself, and sometimes that really bites. But you have to, somewhere along the line, you're going to have to say, okay, I need to go do some research. I need to look at these things and these things and these things and those things and these things. And maybe I want to do this. Maybe I want to do that. Maybe I want to do this. And after you research the ins and outs, then you say, okay, this is what I like to do. Then the next thing to do is to find a place that you want to put it, or a rough idea where you want to put it, what the rent or buying a building would be.
I think what I'm dealing with is this overarching theme that no matter what business it is, it's contributing to somebody else's child labor, or somebody else's being shot at a,
No, why would it do that? My business don't contribute to any of that shit. Neither one of my business contribute to any. Matter of fact, the station actually helps against it.
Lee, here's a suggestion I have for you. The CDL thing, you're trying to get a truck driver's license. Do you realize that being a truck driver, sometimes you have to load the truck and then drive it to the destination and then unload it? Would you be interested in that kind of work? Because if you do, I guarantee you, if you worked at the distribution center where I worked, I could teach you to drive a forklift truck within a day. In the afternoon, you'll be picking up stuff with a forklift and putting it on and off trucks.
Right.
And then at the distribution centers, you can start with that, loading trucks from the inside, and then you can move out to the outside yard and be a yard jockey, where they'll teach you how to, latch up to a trailer, pull it away from the building, park it, and then take an empty one and park it back in that same spot so they can get refilled and sent out. That's what I'm doing right now, and I love it. It is. I work 4 days a week. I have every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off.
Lucky bastard.
I wouldn't trade. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wouldn't trade.
You're committing sins, man.
I work 4 10-hour days. I'm like destroyed at the end of every day. Like Friday night, I'm probably going to pass out around 10:30, right in the middle of Joe's show. But I'll be there for it.
And you see, that's another thing. See, Jay's getting there. He's getting stressed out. We get to talk. We get to run things through our heads. Again, you got to replace the negativity in your head with something else, especially if you ever want to work it out with who. You're going to have to get rid of that, because all you're doing is shifting that on to him every time you see him. I don't think most abductees or empaths, I should say, really understand the damage they can do to a relationship and to friends by being empath.
The lesson that this world has been teaching me since I was just a baby is that everyone is better off without me. Everywhere I go.
That's what it taught me too. But you see where I'm at. I mean, I lost my dad at 16. I figured, well, this is stupid. Why am I staying here? I'm just wasting my time if this is all life has to offer. I went from being a wealthy, rich kid to, well, shit. Actually, I was living on the street until I joined the Navy. So I understand why you feel the way you do and you think the way you do. But I also understand that that's not the only way, because I've been there myself. It's well, what do you mean, Jack? Part of the reason I lived on the street is because I didn't want to live with my mom. I said I lived in the house until they sold the house in auction, and then I packed everything in my car and lived in my car until I joined the Navy. Yeah, I was pissed at my mom. No, it wasn't her fault, but I was pissed at her. It didn't matter. I was pissed at her. Yeah, I was just pissed. As far as I was concerned, she killed my dad, even though it was cancer. It was just, I was 16. What do you expect? I just made 16. I was actually 15 and just made 16 the day he died. So, I mean, it was not easy for me to deal with. And even today, sometimes it bothers me. But the point is, somewhere along the line, I got rid of the negative. Well, actually, boot camp got rid of the negativity because I didn't have time to think about nothing but fucking boot camp. So boot camp actually helped me kick out a lot of that. But the point is, you have to replace what's in your head with something else. research is a good way to replace stuff. Library research is a good way. It gives you, first off, it gives you a place to go and spend a couple of hours. So you're not at home. It helps you to remove some of the depression. It allows you to look at stuff. And you know what's funny about libraries? You don't always have to be looking, doing your research. Because I would catch myself at the libraries when I was going to do UFO research. I'd catch myself looking at other things, different things. Something interested me that may have crossed the screen while I was doing it or something. I enjoyed it a lot. It helped me out a lot. It also helped me to learn other things. But it really did help me to get something in my brain and replace the negativity with something positive. And in your case, you can replace. I'm looking at the loan charts right now. UF federal grant system unlimited is what it says. Unlimited. It doesn't even matter what you bring to them. You just got to have your stuff together. And on the site somewhere, I can't find it right now, but on the site somewhere, it tells you in what order and how you should package your thing together in order to get a loan or a grant. And or both. Sometimes you get both. If it's a business where the grant, say like certain types of business, they can only give you so much for the grant, but sometimes they will subsidize that with a loan. And then they will put you on a very low interest rate on a long payment, like 30 years. So it's there. And even if you decide not to do it, you just go find a job you really like, or you marry some rich guy, regardless, it gives your brain something to think about and something to work on. Plus, you'll have knowledge that no one else has. You might be able to help somebody else down the line. So, and that's another thing. Helping people is always good for the soul. First off, John, who is God? Who is your God? Because your God probably isn't my God. There's multiple gods. So which God is it that you believe in? Well, Muslims don't believe in Jesus. Who told you that? They believe in Muhammad. I mean, where have you been? The Jews think Jesus was a minor prophet. Only Christians believe in Jesus. That's it. Even though there's almost 2 billion of them, still out of the other 6 billion don't believe in our God or Jesus. So are they wrong or are we wrong? The majority wins, right? So only 4 billion people on the planet out of the 8 billion actually believe in a firm religion, meaning Judaism, Muslims, or Christians. They make about 4 billion people on the planet. The other 4 billion there's another 1,000 religions that cover those 4 billion people. And some of them are agnostic. So the point is you can't base all your cookies in one place because you don't really know what the truth is. Until we die, we don't know what the truth is. And living yourself and one of the things I've always hated.
There's no guarantee we're going to find out what's going on behind the curtain.
That's true too. We might just say, well, I've talked about, reincarnation. Sometimes you die, you're born immediately. If you happen to be in a hospital where there's a bunch of births going on, you might not get to go over. You may just, boom, be slapped into a new body, die, and then reborn. And there's an argument for this because there's an interesting thing that happens when you die and you're born. So when you die, you see your loved ones and your family and all this stuff around you. When you're born, if you ever hypnotized and listened to about being born, they give the exact same description as death. Birth and death are actually the same description, which means it's probably the same thing, which means you die, you're reborn. You die, you're reborn. Until you come to a point where you've learned whatever the hell you can learn and go to another world or something.
Yeah,
I doubt any of us get to go to the big side for a billion years.
Tunnel, no pun intended. You literally do.
You literally do, going or coming. That's the funny part. Dying, you see the end of it. Coming, you see the tunnel. Well, of course, baby, see a tunnel, dude. If it's coming out of woman's... Anyway, we're not going to get into that. What are you talking about? I'm not going to try to educate you on what it looks like to be born. And go listen to people talk about being hypnotized. Because we're talking about ladies' parts, and we're already past the top of the hour, and I got to go. But
we're dipping into Michelle's time again.
Yes.
My bad. I'm sorry, you guys.
No, it's not your bad. I could cut the show off at any time I wanted to. Yes, we're always at least a half hour in there. Michelle knows we love her. She don't worry about that. She knows we love her. Besides, it actually dumps a bigger audience from her when we do it this way. I mean, there's almost 3.5 million people listening to us right now. So
sweet.
And there's lots of comments to you about, saying the same thing I'm saying. Replace what is in your head with something more positive. Find something to concentrate on, and you have to. It's not an option for you anymore. You have to keep looking until something clicks that brain of yours. You have to keep looking, and every time you get a negativity, go look some more. So you know what? I feel negative. I'm gonna go look at this, or this.
I wish
And
anyone would just listen to me and be like,
I listen to you, but
Leah,
you're just not doing it.
Your feelings.
How many times have you been to the library?
The way you feel matters. The way you feel.
Exactly. I've been saying that since I met you. It matters. But the only way you're going to change that is to do something. Not
what
doing,
I'm
don't
saying
change anything.
is I already know. Like my feelings are telling me that I'm fucked.
And again, we told you 100 times. That's the negativity in your brain that has to be changed. You're not doing anything about it. You're just reliving it.
No,
it's like you're caught in a bad loop.
I literally drove across a whole state to get to this place so I could be here for weeks on end to do something new, and I get sent home on day 3.
Well, that shit happens. I mean, that kind of stuff's going to happen. And
I'm trying, you deal with. Every single time I try,
you're trying, but you're not trying the right things.
Catastrophe.
Yes, because you're not doing the right things. You may not be a person who needs to be in business for themselves. You may be just that kind of person. Most of my friends that had multiple jobs growing up are all in business for themselves now.
You know, here I am. I'd rather work for somebody else that already has a business plan, because if it were up to me, I wouldn't want to contribute to this world. Like there's nothing.
Then don't do something. There's so many things you can do that doesn't contribute to the badness, that helps it. Every week when we're doing stuff on the network, we're actually helping people. We're not hurting people. But it's not just that. You like what's his name? Joe Ross, I think is his name. So he got a grant. He actually got a federal grant from the government to hire people to pick shit up off the beaches. That's all they do. They just walk around picking it. And he gets X amount of money for that. So wait, not only did he get a grant to do this, but he gets to sell the freaking plastic in the everything. They sell it as garbage to be recycled. So he's double-ended it. He's helping society, and he's making loads of money at the same time.
I don't know.
There's lots of things to do like that.
All I can
well,
see is
go to the library and type in businesses that are good to help society, businesses that can help society, businesses that I'd actually type in.
You have a passion in something. You have to be good at something. You have to be able to
But you don't know if you have a passion at something until you get into it.
Yeah, you don't have to be good at it until you have a passion for it. Once you have the passion for it, you will get good at it.
Once you find something that resonates with you, then you can develop everything else. But you gotta look and see. If you're just sitting and not doing it, you're never gonna find it.
I've had like 70 jobs. You can't say I've done anything.
70 jobs don't mean dick. What were they? Crappy jobs? That's not the same thing of finding something that resonates with you.
I've had lots of jobs too, and the last job I had when I started with the Home Depot, that's where I want to be. I like what I did. I mean, I'm no longer working in the store, which is a lot better, and I have my weekends back. You just gotta keep going. I'm 57. It took me that long to find something I was passionate about. I love the job. I wouldn't want to give it up.
I would love to be able to make it to 57, but at this rate, I'm not going to. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to.
There you go again. There you go again.
It's because it's mathematically.
It's not mathematically. You are no different than anybody else on this planet that's going through the same thing you are, and they're doing it. So the only reason you wouldn't be able to do it is because you don't want to. What you really want, I know what you really want, and you're not going to get that. So you've got to change that expiration, that whatever that is, you have to change it. You have to change your expectations on this particular thing and move it to something else. And I'm telling you, if you would go find something, just keep looking until you find something you can. You know what? Greenpeace hiring people. No, I don't think you really have tried. I think you've taken the easy way out. I don't believe you. I think you're taking the easy way out. I think a lot of times, I'm not saying every time, but I think a lot of times you took the easy way out. That you didn't want. I mean, I'm sure companies you could have stayed with where you could have been the boss, but that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for instant gratification. I was the same way. I understand that, but that's not in your stars right now. So you need to find something else. Well, you see, and all that plays on is, so you're feeling that way. So everybody you get around with that is going to feel that way too. So why? I mean, just fix it.
I did. I tried, and I failed. Okay, I failed at trying to fix it.
You didn't fail. He failed.
You just didn't find.
I told you this before. You want to blame yourself because it's easier. because you're still in love, so you don't want to blame the person who
He
caused
didn't
it.
fail. He's doing great.
No, he failed you, Leah. You. He failed you. Not his freaking career. He failed you. Matter of fact, he put his career ahead of you. He failed you. You need to cope with that and deal with that. And stop blaming yourself on something somebody else did to you. That's bullshit. And it's just something you find something. And if you'd listen to me and just find something that you could latch on to and something that you would like and something you could start getting involved with, all this other stuff would just follow suit. It's how it works in life.
Yeah.
It would just follow suit. You don't have to believe me. Go ask the psychologist. He's going to tell you the same thing.
This was my last chance. This was
It's not your last. You keep using that bullshit because you don't want to do it. It's not your last chance. You've been telling me it's your last chance for the last year. So that's a whole year that you could have been doing something. And you just keep saying it's your last chance. So apparently it's not your last chance, or you'd already be gone. Again,
I'm just going to end up dying.
Chance. We're all going to end up dying, girl. I don't have that much time left on the damn planet. The most I can hope for is another 19 years. So look at it the way I look at it. So you're being like this, and I know I only have X amount of days left on the planet for sure. It's not even a thing. I know for sure. Most people in my family didn't make it past 75. So if I'm lucky, I've got 14 years of my life left. That's it. You've got 30 years of your life left, maybe even 40.
My mom died when she was 56.
Yeah, but we know why that was, and you don't have to be that way, and you're not doing that anyway.
Nope.
So you don't have to be that, and you don't have to follow your parents. My dad died at 69. My mom died at 75, so they changed it right there on their own. My grandpa died at 69. My uncles all died in their late 70s. So you don't necessarily follow suit. You're usually somewhere around there, but you don't necessarily follow suit. You don't smoke cigarettes, you don't smoke weed, you're not drinking. You're extending your life every day. So instead of trying to put it off on something else, just find something to latch onto. Find something to replace. Everything you told me in the last half hour should be replaced with something else. Everything. Especially since you're empathic and you're sending it to the whole freaking town you live in.
They don't want anything to do with me.
Because they're losers.
Maybe I'm the loser.
No, maybe they're the losers. Anytime you're not willing to help somebody that you see in pain, you're the loser.
You would really be surprised how a change of city would change your fate.
And she knows that. No, she knows that, but she's in love because she won't leave.
And I have a son here, and I can't just leave.
No, the son you can see and go and come all the time. I know people have left, come back, left, have their sons come down to them. That's not an excuse. You can't use that one.
Not when the father is who he is.
Then establish a business and take the freaking kid back.
Yeah.
That should be incentive right there. That should be all the incentive you need right there, but you're not going to use that because that's not what you're thinking about right now. What you're thinking about is something else, and until you either let go of that or find something to replace that or put something in there that gets rid of the rest of it, it's going to stay the same way.
That's what this trucking was supposed to do.
Okay, so it was. Was, and was. It doesn't matter now. It's time to either move to a city that you can get on with another trucking company or find something that you can get in business with. Shit, go get some money and open a thing in Chicago and drive back and forth to where you live.
No, I don't want anything to do with Chicago.
Why? You could do change there.
Because I don't.
So you could. I bet you could get a grant right now to help clean up the Great Lake. I bet you could.
Wonderful.
Hey, you say you want to do things that help and not hurt. That's a thing that helps. Or establish an organization that helps do that.
As long as it's just so I can survive and it's just so I can make sure that I can put food in my fridge and pay my freaking car bill that I can't afford, then it's not really to help the planet, is it? It's to make sure I can survive. Well,
you're not doing any harm, though, either. So it is helping the planet. See, people don't realize that. I don't know why so many Americans, or for that many, so many Europeans are ignorant about this. If you're not causing harm, you're helping. It's not that hard of a concept to
But
understand.
that's exactly my point, Joe, is when I think about these other jobs, like working at a gas station, working at a grocery store, there is harm being done just to put the food on the shelves, just to get the gas in the gas tanks at the groceries, at the gas stations. There's harm being done.
No,
On
go to
different parts of
California
the
then, where everything's
planet.
electric.
Well, it's not electric, and
Yeah,
who
a
knows
good chunk
when
of it
will
is
ever
now.
be.
You know, it's headed that way. Even they're going to bankrupt the state doing it. It's headed
I'm
that
not
way.
going to make it that long.
No, you'll make it longer than that.
There's all this society that people have their Walmart, people have their comfort foods when they go to Taco Bell and Popeyes and Wendy's. All of that stuff is manufactured industrially, and it takes resources that we go to war for. All right. And that's where my dilemma is I'm tired of contributing
Well, first
to a
off,
society.
we haven't gone to war over resources in probably 100 years. And secondly, most of the wars we've been involved with was to save someone's ass.
Yeah.
Not to help us, to save someone else. So you have to remember that. So this country's not actually destroying resources; it's actually saving resources.
What about all the lithium and cobalt mines that children are basically like rotting to the bone to dig out?
Well, I don't know any lithium mines where that's going on, and America's not supposed to buy products where children are involved. That's why
we
a
know
lot
that
of stuff we
that's
cut off
not-
with China.
there-
No, that we know
America
that's
does
true.
a lot of things they're not supposed to do.
China, we cut off China for a lot of stuff. Like we even made Nike start making their shoes somewhere else because they were using child labor. See, the U.S. isn't what most people think it is. It's changing. It's changing rapidly, but it's not going to happen overnight. But it takes people to help change it, and opening businesses that are friendly to the environment is the way to do it.
Somewhere along the lines, I was told, stop worrying about the world. You're not going to be able to save the world. Like the world doesn't need to be saved.
That's true. Greta Thorne
Save
can't save the
yourself,
world, and she's
right?
way more popular than you are. Matter of fact, all people do is hate Greta Thorne. She made things worse, not better.
Save yourself, Leah. But there is no saving.
Well, first off, you have to save yourself first. Before you can save anything else, you have to save yourself first. That's just the rule of life. I mean, you can't go out and help people if you can't help yourself. That's just it. Do you like my friend down there is doing opening? You know what? My friend down there opening up a coffee shop. You know, to get some advice. And one of these days she'll actually send me some coffee. But you know how that goes. I might be fucking 100 years old by the time I see my first cup of coffee.
But all so tired of me.
No, we're not. We're just look. We're gonna stay on your ass until you find something to do with yourself. All of us are. No. I'm fixing to turn the whole network loose on your ass. It's we're gonna stay on your ass until you find something to fill that brain with, other than whatever this shit is you've been telling us tonight.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You gotta grab your bootstraps and lift yourself up by them. That's what you got to do.
I'm gonna sick one of my chihuahuas to
I have no more energy. I've got no more strength.
That's not even an excuse.
I'm tired
you know what?
the strong
like
one.
I just told you, go buy you some Red Bull.
Or eat a banana.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you this.
You'll have so much energy, you won't be able to know what to do with yourself.
You know what my son tells me after, Dad? I don't have the energy to do this. I'm getting old because he's 38 now. He goes, I don't have the energy. Dad's killing me. And you know what? Next thing he does is we stop at Lowe's. First thing he just pop. He takes a red pill. Next thing he's running circles around. I'm like, dude, stop. Calm down. I'm old. Remember?
I don't mean physical energy.
I know, but those kind of things help as well, though. They're a pick-me-up. So pick-me-ups help the brain to pick up. But what you really, truly need is something that you can focus on that can help you to remove the negativity out of your brain. Whether it's focusing on a job, whether it's focusing on maybe getting a grant or finding something you really, really like. I really would. I would sit down and look at every job there was. First thing I'd go type in ways to help and save the planet and make money and see what comes up. I'd go to the library. That's the first thing I would do. And I guarantee you there's a couple of hundred ways. Matter of fact, I know you don't want to do this, but I can't think of his name. The guy who invented the thing to get all that plastic out in the Gulf and in the ocean. He's hiring people. to go help him, and he prefers to hire women. He said because they're easier to deal with in the environment. Guys are a little bit harsher. So I mean, these are things you could be doing. But anyway, we got to go because it's 2 minutes to the bottom of the hour. Jeffrey, no, we'll talk more about alien abduction next week. Well, no, we're trying to help with Leah, and we had some other contactees that were listening in tonight that are having similar problems that she's having. Two of them were going to call in, but they decided not to interfere with the conversation we were having with Leah. And then we have another friend who's a friend that we have a joint friend who's going through some similar stuff herself. And she wants to talk about it too. She's going to come in as anonymous and talk about it, but still, she's going to come in and talk about it too. So I want them to hear, because I want Leah to hear how people like her are starting to turn their life around, and how some of them are worse off than she is. Mm-hmm. It's hard, but when you hear someone else talk about something that you've been through or you're experiencing or you've seen that's actually quite a bit worse than you are, it helps you to make that next step to what you got to do.
Well, I mean,
Leah's had so many bad things that she just don't want to do it.
Someone tells their story, and you go, "Oh, that happened to you too." I mean, there's like almost instant bonding for those kind of stories. So, and what's funny is how many of the contactees that have made lifelong friendships and are there for each other now, bonds that were now going on 25 or 30 years, and they've actually helped each other, because it's good to have someone to talk to. Somebody asked me one time, how do I talk to everybody? I don't. A lot of times I'm too busy to talk to people. I talk when I can. When I have a little bit of free time, I'll get on a phone or get on the internet and talk with somebody. But a lot of times, right now I've got bids to do. I got shows to produce. I got stuff I got to get together for Trump's. All hail the Trumper. All hail the Trumper. And then I got this letter today before we go about Trump's the new Jesus. I'm like, really? I said, let's not be saying that. I said, because Jesus might decide to shoot him in the ass. Let's not get stupid now. I can understand why some people might think what happened with Trump was a miracle. I mean, after all, he turned his head at the right time. That's why he's still alive. But let's not get carried away with this bullshit, okay? He's a politician after all. What's that, Kirby? Where do you work? Plastics are us. So wait, explain. So oh, you're in New York. Okay. So you work for this plastic company, and they give grants out for people to go clean up the shores in New Jersey and in New York. See, there you go, Leah. You'd be out in New York cleaning up stuff. Oh, the big city, man. Woo, that's the big city. Well, that's the biggest city in the United States. No. LA is the second biggest city. New York's the first biggest. Yeah, you're getting confused thinking of some cities outside the U.S. Yeah. No, Mexico City's like 24 million. Yeah, it's fucking huge. And it's not even the biggest city, but it's close. Yeah, I think New York's 8 million or less now. They're kind of like New Orleans. They were bigger, and then they started shrinking. Residents that live there.
Yeah, they started shrinking. New Orleans had 650,000 pre-Katrina. Now they're at 350,000. So, and they're still considered an international city with some of the greatest libraries. The number one zoo in the country. Yeah, but we got to go. We got to go smack some people up and slap some people around. Especially this one down here. This person down here, this slave person, doesn't listen. Smack him down. Anyway, we're going to let Leah in for a second, then we're going to get out of here. See, I just had to smack this other person around. At least I don't do that to you, Leah. I smacked this one around. Watch. Say it again. What, Christopher? No. You mean right now? I know my life is harsh right now. Way more than it usually is now. Well, contracting's feast and famine anyway, but not like this now. It's hard right now, yeah. It's I'm used to having money into my accounts, not have to worry about what bills are being paid, car notes are being paid. I mean, just on my home insurances, I pay like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about $14,000-$15,000 a year. Yeah, and that's not car insurances or stuff like that, or health insurances. It's just way expensive right now. Well, my insurance for my home, my wind and hail went from $4,000 to $10,000 this year. My homeowners, which is fire and all, went from $1,000 to $3,000. My flood went from $400 to $700. Yeah, I live on the coast, and it's only. I'm not bitching about that one. My homeowners' taxes, everything went up. And plus everything else besides that, gas, food, and everything else is up. We were doing, this is for one of the shows. It's not going to be for this show, but in a couple of weeks, we're going to do a show where a friend of mine sent me his Walmart bill from 2017. And he just sent me his bill from this year. I mean, it's ridiculous. So then he said, you know what, let's get one closer. So he found one from 2019. It's ridiculous. They're up 80%, 85%. Everybody, inflation's only for my ass. You better go compare prices. And it's not even that. And we're going to talk about this on this week's show. So you go to any restaurant now and you buy a sandwich, it's smaller than it used to be, and it still costs the same price.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it costs more. I'm sorry. So
it actually costs more. Yeah.
So when I worked for McDonald's, a quarter pounder was about this big around. I'm not kidding you. That's how big it was.
Yep.
Now it's this big around.
Yep.
And somebody said,
And
"Oh, what's
patties used to be this thick? Now they're like this. I mean, they're like wafer thin."
It's so it's just that's all stuff we'll be talking about on News on the Flip Side this week, and we'll be talking about quite a few stuff. We're going to invite a few other people in this week and see what's going on. And I tell people all the time, if you're invited to the show via, like I bring people in the backstage and friends of mine, and I send people out links, you're always welcome to join us when we're doing News on the Flip Side, because the show gets a little radical sometimes, it gets a little crazy, and we have 5 hosts on the show, and it really doesn't matter. It's all 5. It's different opinions. Leah joins us sometimes. Both the Sean's are there. One of the Sean's going through a little stuff right now, but Jay's there with us. I'm there, and no, I didn't wear a tie tonight. Hey, let's see my stuff is. Ooh, baby. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. Oh, well, I scared y'all. I scared these people.
Back up.
And Leah thinks she got a problem. Look, you ain't got nothing that looks like this, girl. I mean, shit. Anyway, we got to really go. Oh my God, we got to go. I hope everyone enjoyed the show tonight. Any moans, groans, bitches, complaints, or anything else, please write to. I was going to say to November Hansen, which she would not appreciate.
Yeah, no.
November's a friend of mine, but she's not in the business anymore. And she did one of the most coherent. It's still on the website on the reptilians I've ever seen, and so. Real quick before we leave, we launched these 5. All these projects are still on the website, by the way, on iCar1.com. But we launched these 5 projects, and she was in charge of them. And she was doing a fabulous job. Then all 5 of the directors that were involved with them, all 5 got breast cancer at the same time, within 2 months of each other. So it flipped her out. She thought, and she took it out. She sent me all the stuff. She said, I'm done. And she survived. 4 out of the 5 people survived and are still healthy and living today. DeAndrew was the only one that died, and she made it for about 4 years before she died. But it killed her. She was a close and dear friend of mine. I hated to see her go. Actually, she was my conscience, is what she was. She's the one who kept me from going off on a rampage and stuff. She's the one that checked me on the Roswell stuff, the stuff with the Betty and Barney Hill cases. When she knew I was going to change it, she was there to make sure I didn't get crazy or make shit up, that everything was on the up and board. That was her job. And she did it well too. I'd get a phone call, Joe, what was that you said on that radio show? I said, what radio show? She said, I heard that damn show, Joe. What was this? I'm like, I don't know what you Joe, don't make me send it to you. I'm like, okay, I'll fix it. And she's the one that I reviewed stuff with when we were going to change something that we used to believe that was no longer true. She was the one I sat and talked with before we changed it. So I do miss her. And sometimes I would just sit and chat with her about stuff like with Leah would have loved her and stuff like that. So I miss her. She was a good friend. And I haven't talked to her husband. I don't even know if he's still alive. He quit talking to me after she died. So I don't know. His name was Goss or David actually, but he went under the thing of Gossamer Wings. You must know him. Oh, okay. Yeah. Gossamer Wings 777. Yeah. So you were part of the UFO Phenomena. We're going to open that room back up. Yes, we are. We're going to open the UFO Alien Phenomena group back up. We're fixing to bring iCar back in, so we're going to be looking for directors and stuff like that, and people who want to get involved. See, Leah, you could be whatever town, that shithole you're living in, you could be the director there. Start helping crazy people from Chicago can come down and see you that, I have been probed by a reptilian. No, I don't think you actually were probed by a reptilian, but anyway. Yes, there's actually quite a lot of things on the old website. We'll remodel the website when it comes time. Right now, it's still functional and working now. On that note, we got to go. Please stay tuned for The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Passano. Yeah, Amelia Passano. Yeah, she's Italian. Come on, people. Does a Passano sound anything but Italian to you? I'm just asking. I mean, really. I mean, the way you said that. I was thinking, well, you're the one that made the stupid comment, not me. Anyway, we got to get out of here. I don't know what the show is because I don't have it in front of me, but it is on right now. It's been on for about 38 minutes, so be sure to go check her out. I'm going to stop by and see her. I got to meet with her later tonight. I got to go see somebody at 9 o'clock. I'm doing an interview out in New York City, actually, a local FM station. I always love doing FM stations because them FM hosts always think they're going to get you on something. Oh, yeah, it's always fun. And I like turning it around on them. Like last time I did one up there, the guy was going on making fun and all this. And I've done this in New Orleans a couple times too. I've done other stations. I'll say something like, well, anybody listening out here in New York City, if you've seen a UFO locally in your town, please call in. All of a sudden, every line they got is lighting up, blink, 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 blink. They can't say anything after that, man. Oh, no. You would think that. It always amazes me. People say, only people who live in the country in trailers see UFOs. Well, that's not true, but they do see UFOs. They're usually not aliens. They're usually something else. Most abductions happen in large cities. Yes, that's where the majority of abductions happen, in large cities. And actually, believe it or not, that's where most of the UFO sightings are. It's just people don't like to mention them. Mm-hmm. Deep water bases, large cities, military facilities, large national parks. There's always lots of UFO sightings around there. Lots of abductions, too. Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that one night. But we got to go. Stop it. Y'all going to get me in trouble with the boss lady.
I think it's too late.
Yes, I know. She's the boss. I just own the place. She's the boss. On that note, good night. Check out Outer Realm. Be sure you check out all the lineup tomorrow and Friday. We'll be Jay and I, and a bunch of be back on Friday, cutting up, causing trouble. I'm going to try to post everything a little early on Friday so you know what we're talking about. Last week we had 20 topics. We only got through 3 because we were on other stuff. Of course, we got the assassination this week, so we're going to be talking about that as well on Friday night. So
yeah, I think we're doing Bigfoot on Church of Mavis right before.
And then we're going to be discussing some of the theories, or well, I shouldn't say theories, but well, yeah, we'll say some of the theories about what actually happened. Oh, there's all kind of conspiracy theories about this. We're not going to get into it tonight, but there's all kinds of
conspiracy nut theories came out immediately.
Oh yeah.
So they're.
Oh yeah. This one shot him. That one shot him. This happened. That happened. He faked it. I'm like, the faked one cracked me up because really. You got the whole Secret Service to work for you, Trump? I'm just having an issue with that all around.
So take my word for it. I know how to do movie magic. It's nearly impossible to fake that kind of injury on the ear.
So y'all be checking it out. I am interested about that girl that was sitting behind him that she just sat down, and when she heard the gunshot, she smiled, and she got out the camera. She's an interesting individual, but that could just be, whatever. So we'll talk about that. But anyway, good night. Hang out with Michelle and Amelia. Tell them I said hi, and I will see all of y'all next Friday. Goodbye, guys. Done.